We've got a long ways to go to get there, and we're very prepared for it.
Nice, Jonathan. It's good to see you smiling again.
Thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lewis Lee, and this is Plan and Traffic. We do this every Thursday night at 9 o'clock Eastern Time, and we talk about everything automotive. And I want to kick off this year that, like to wish everybody a happy New Year's. And we have a lot of new stuff coming here on the channel. We are coordinating with a couple other companies where we're going to be doing podcasts on Apple, all the places where you hear podcasts. So you'll be able to hear our shows, after we call it repeats. So we're going to be doing that. We've got a lot of stuff coming up this year. So please stick with us. And if you're on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe. What's up, Ray?
Nice, Lewis. Happy New Year. Here's to another year of good content and crazy stories and weird builds and car information and all the stuff that we do here. I couldn't even typify it if I had to. I don't know.
Happens. This past year was a great year for us. We talked to a lot of people, met a lot of people, reconnected with a lot of people, and a lot of people are doing big things after COVID. Everybody's getting back into the groove of the automotive industry. So we're going to be a big part of it. So we're going to have a lot of new guests on here, a lot of old guests, So that's what we're doing. I mean,
that's what you got to do. It's I fight with that on the radio show too. It's always you want to find new guests and get some new blood and new ideas, and but you want to keep your old friends in the loop too. You want to keep your
for sure.
Get people returning and catch up on their projects. Like this Sunday, we have Mark Warman. We haven't had him on in a while from Graveyard Cars.
Good.
I was
going to call him this week too to see if he can come back on.
Sure, I'll mention to him on Sunday too because I hadn't had him on in a while, and now I said, hey, it's time. He's still going. He's in 15 seasons already.
Yeah, and
which isn't exactly 15 years because he had a couple of 2 seasons in a year kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it shows longevity. It just shows that he's got the
grinding. Yeah.
So
I see Alyssa had a new baby too.
Yeah, she did. She did. There's a new guy in the shop. He's got a new a tech. The guy was a GM tech, but Mark said guy has a lot of talent, and because of his GM experience, he picked up the Mopar stuff easily. Because like a lot of us, none of us really work on just one thing,
Right.
And this guy was trained, and I guess they didn't really give a bio on him. I guess he probably wanted maybe a change. And do something different and maybe get out of the dealership. Who knows?
Yeah, that's good.
Brian's a dealership expert.
Now, did Mark ever open up that old school dealership that he was talking about?
Not in brick and mortar. Last I heard, he was the deal. He never got the building.
Oh,
but he does have the separate entity called, was it Graveyard Dreams? And those are cars that he builds for people. What he was going to do with that dealership was he was going to sell some of the cars that he had that were drivers that didn't go through the restoration process. Maybe he picked them up as parts cars or just because it was a good deal. Clean them up, make them safe, and he was going to sell them like a used car lot.
Mm-hmm.
And on the same hand, he opened a company where he was going to. So let's say, Louis, you wanted a 68 Charge or whatever, but you wanted it a certain way. Not necessarily stock. He would build that car for you, build it to your dream expectation, and then sell it to you that way. So, he has his fingers in all the different pies, all the different. Because if you can do it one way, you can do it the other way. And
right. Now, Dan Short, when I got off, when he was on a couple weeks ago, I was listening to it at work. The after party, your side,
right?
And man, I wish I didn't get off because he talked about all the off-grid stuff. I was like, wait a minute.
That. Well, first of all, for people who don't know, we stay late and we do it's almost like 2 shows. it used to be more, when we had John around, we used to do a lot of music stuff, and and then Brian came in with that with us and all, and then it always turned to food. But the guests usually leave. It's just kind of one of those things. Like when you sign off, they usually go to, and sometimes people stayed maybe a half hour, but Dan stayed long. He hung out and just kept talking. So we weren't kicking him out. That's for sure.
Yeah, I sent him the link today. He said, he might come in.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, I after I heard it, I texted him. I was like, hey, we need to talk one-on-one because I need to know more about it. I want to learn as much as possible.
Well, so the thing I want to know is when you were listening to it, did you say, hey, that's a really good show? Who are those guys?
Yeah, who are those guys, man? They're doing it.
That's what I want to hear.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you, man. Really.
Oh, yeah. Listen, we're doing the same thing. We're just, I watch some of the shows. I'll watch, some of the stuff. I want to find something to show somebody, so I'll get them a timestamp. And some of these shows, I'm looking at myself like, oh my God, how are you staying awake? It was almost like fighters in like the 10th round. You're like,
yeah.
But
maybe when I retire, I can stay up with you guys and be big dogs.
It's always good because now we get the late crew. I mean, Brian hangs, of course. Now Justin will be around a lot of times, and Isaac. Well, Isaac's in a different time zone, so it's unfair.
Yeah, he's good.
He's got 3 hours on us, but
That's
it does
funny.
take a life of its own. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Which makes me miss John all the more because the life that he brought to it was just unique.
Yeah. I really miss him, man. I was thinking about him today because I was looking through my thumbnails, and his picture come up.
Right.
And it's just so it's so sad.
Yeah, I haven't even been a fraction of recovered from this one yet.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Yep.
Hey, I think we got some guys. Dan is here.
Okay, let's get the fellas in. This is the fellas' night.
Brian.
Hey guys, how y'all doing?
Brian.
There's Dan. No, no class. Paul, what's up?
Hey, how you
guys.
doing?
Fellas.
Happy New
Evening.
Year.
I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Folks.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. How's it going?
Happy New Year's, everybody.
Were you able to function, Dan?
Lou,
the next
I
time?
stopped saying that. I now just say brace yourself.
Yeah, right. That's about it, too. You're right.
Yep.
Papa Squirrel, you want in?
So, Dan, did you hit the alarm clock and roll over for another 15 minutes after you left us last time?
Yeah. I was curious the same thing, Brian. Because he had to get up like.
I don't know if you heard.
We're getting an echo somewhere.
Echo.
Might be me. Let me screw around with some things.
Can you hear us, Dan?
I can hear you fine.
Ah, good.
Good thing.
Go ahead, Brian. Go ahead and repeat what you said.
Oh, I asked you, Dan, if you had to hit the snooze button for another 15 minutes after the last time you were with us. I don't think you can hear me.
That's weird.
How you guys all doing?
Good. Just, recovering from these holidays.
Yeah, there's a little bit of echo.
Echo.
Who's echoing?
Lewis, did you guys get that 60-something-degree weather last week?
Yeah, we've been warm the last couple days.
Does anybody have two windows open, like this and Facebook or this and YouTube? Because that would give us.
Yeah,
I
somebody.
just turned my volume down. It didn't change.
Aha. I think.
Testing.
There's
It
no
was,
echo.
it was Dan, I think.
Dan, I think Dan's got
He's the culprit.
we got that weather right now. It's crazy down here. 60 degrees.
Yeah.
We're not 60. We're in the 50s, but it was beautiful. Yeah, I was out there, with a t-shirt again. I was like, man, this is nice.
Yeah, it's 40 right
we
now.
hit record high. I think it was it Thursday or Friday last week?
Yeah.
The high was like 51 back in 50 something. And then we hit 61, 62 up here
Right.
one day. And then the day before or after, I forgot, was pretty close.
I don't know. It was about 34, 35 degrees when I went to work this morning, but it went into the mid 60s. I think it's supposed to be 70 tomorrow.
Echoes back.
Yeah, Dan, can you turn your volume down? We think it's you.
Think it's you. Think it's you. Think it's you.
Testing. Yep, that's better.
Okay, my volume's off.
Okay, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Perfect.
Good.
Excellent.
What was me? Sorry.
Can you see it?
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah, that's your problem, Dan.
Yeah, exactly.
Should I try to ask one more time?
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Dan, you doing a lot of prepping over there?
Yeah, I am probably too much. You know, I don't do anything to a small degree. So most would look at what I'm doing and say that I'm probably taking it a little too far. I think in the last 2 weeks, I have processed about 150, 200 pounds of food.
Wow.
So yeah, we're sort of going full tilt.
Well,
You know, I was thinking about this. I was talking to a few people who heard you on the radio show and then saw you here. And, you know, it kind of sinks in my own head. Damn, how do you separate farm life from Xanthamworks life? Because they're two vast entities.
Oh yeah. I guess the quick version is, you know, from 6 o'clock in the morning until about 7 o'clock at night, it's PhantomWorks. You know, my day job today, we spent today trying to fix a 1971 Jimmy that had rotted out, and we're trying to get it straight. So that was my entire day. And then when I get home, it's taking care of animals and basically prepping. And the thing I'm working on right now is a kitchen where I can process a 1,500-pound animal inside the kitchen.
Oh, wow.
So we should be finished in about 2 to 3 weeks.
So,
Wow.
Dan,
I was listening to that
has,
show.
my ex-brother set up with all prep and stuff.
Yeah.
Tons of canned goods, rice, toilet paper, paper towels. She's busting my chops because I'm busting her. But her point is the prices of everything are going up. So if you can buy it now, then you're going to save later.
Yeah, I don't think anything is slowing down in price increases, is it?
No.
Yeah.
$6.50 a bottle. Lettuce is almost $4 or $5.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so prepping isn't just about eating, it's about saving money too, right?
Yeah. You know, I went and bought leather today at the leather shop, and it went up 30% and half of the material.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I've sort of almost grown numb to the prices anymore. I feel like if you can buy it, you just buy it almost no matter what the price is. And my only prayer is that, you know, the supply chains don't change so much that I find out I've bought a whole bunch of crap that I don't need.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see any signs that the supply chains are going to get any better anytime soon.
No.
You know, I was down in my basement. I'm doing a hydroponic system in my basement.
Cool.
You know, I was doing my little thing. I was like, you know what? I think I want to sell it. So I sold enough for myself. And, you know, maybe next time.
Outstanding. Yeah, we're putting up our third greenhouse now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I've got a fourth one I'm building. So
I bought a 10 by 10 grow tent.
Okay.
I'm gonna set that up in my basement. Soon, I got some water issues I gotta fix first. So once I'm done with that, then I'm gonna throw
heck, if you got water issues in your basement, maybe you just solved the problem by using that water for your plants.
Yeah.
Yeah, pump it right up into the system.
Exactly. Might just be a problem that solves itself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I never
I
thought
never
about
thought
that.
about that.
So Lou, you were talking about an RV.
Yep, my bus.
My bus.
Yeah.
So
So
I'm gonna
I'm
try
gonna
to make it off grid as possible. Maybe 30 days
30
to
days
60
to 60
days
days
with a big
with a
battery
big
bank,
bank,
solar,
solar,
big water
big
tank.
water tank.
Is there,
So-
is there anything to do about the field? Double talk, echo.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's
I think
coming
it's
to you,
coming
Dan.
to
Echo.
Echo.
My volume is completely off.
You have
You
two
have
windows
windows
open?
open?
No.
Is somebody having a Bluetooth in their ear or speaker or something?
Here, hold
Hold
on.
on,
I'll find out exactly what it is. I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
start
start
muting
muting
people and
people.
see. Testing. Dan, it's you.
Hang on. I'm gonna sign out and close every single thing down and come back in.
Do you have a pair? Oh, he's gonna. I'll say if you throw a pair of headsets
He's
on.
getting good cellular service tonight,
Yeah, that figures, right?
right?
I've learned one thing: just shut off everything on your computer, except this, and you don't seem to get any echoes. But these new programs, a lot of them will keep things running in the background that you don't know about,
Yeah.
and I don't like them.
That and the NSA, listening in on us.
That's very true. Very true.
Nora.
You know, they can listen all they want, and they're gonna get bored as hell listening to me.
No, they store everything until they need it to go after you.
Yeah, basically that's like having the answer and then wait until you can fabricate the question and then just put the two together.
Right. They have their person. They'll find the crime later.
Right, exactly.
These are guys across the country, not here.
Reverse engineering.
So Paul,
Oh no, I don't.
your
All right,
sound's looking good, buddy.
now I can hear you without the echo. You were talking about your boss.
Yeah, he was asking me about the off-grid part of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to go 30 to 60 days off-grid with big water tanks, 150 gallons,
Mm-hmm.
big battery bank.
Biggest thing I found about that is a friend of mine had one of these 38-foot motorhomes or whatever it was. He went through a lot of water because he liked to take a long hot shower in the morning. It all depends on how good you are at conserving things, conserving water,
Well, I don't understand that. You take a shower once a week, right? Every Saturday.
Whoa. Where are you guys affording soap for once a week? I had to break this down to once a month.
Just go to the dollar store.
Yeah, right.
Oh, okay. Dollar store.
It's $1.25 at the dollar store.
That's what I was going to say.
I
Ours is
I might be able to go
$1.25
every 3 weeks then.
Plus tats.
You just blew the budget.
So Dan, can you hear us good?
I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Much better.
Yep. No echoes. So what I'm doing with my bus is I'm putting 150-gallon water tanks and waste. And then on the roof, I'm going to go with many solar panels I can get up there. And I'm going with a big battery bank.
Okay, so have you considered water collection system?
You know what? I didn't hear you.
Dan, if you have a way to
Water
raise
collection.
your mic volume a little bit, that'd be great.
Yeah, I wanted to start looking into it because somebody mentioned that to me not long ago. What do you suggest? Because you're the guy.
Yeah, so what I would suggest is you've got the roof of your vehicle, and remember, rain can hit the solar panels, and it goes down onto your roof, and right now it runs down the side of your vehicle. Well, what if it ran down the side of your roof into a small lip, and then you had 4 drains, one on each corner of your bus, depending on which one is the lowest, and they all funnel themselves into a tank that's on the bottom of your bus. And so that would be potable water, but it would need to be treated just for, things like dirt and debris. Run it through a basic filter, and you suddenly don't have the need to go out and collect water any other way. As
Yeah.
long as, you know, not Arizona, you've got a perpetual water supply.
That makes sense. Yeah.
You just
Yeah,
have to
well,
run that through like
I'm gonna have a
a
Berkey on
filtration or a charcoal canister, right?
Not really. If you put it into a tank, into some form of a holding tank that has no UV penetration, so in other words, a black tank or something that doesn't allow any light through, it shouldn't grow algae. And the most it should have is, you know, sediment and dirt that you get from, you know, the stuff that lands on your roof. So then a very simple filter system with, you know, you can generally treat water. It's about, depending on how cloudy or murky it is, you know, 1 to 3 drops of bleach per gallon. Leave it for an hour, and you've got completely safe drinking water. So a gallon of water will treat something like 30,000 gallons of drinking water. A gallon of bleach.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't thinking about drinking water. I was just thinking of if he was using that for his to run through whatever toilet or whatever, you know, non-drinking water.
Okay, well, you know, if you're in a survival situation, I'm not thinking about using water for the toilet.
Oh yeah, well that's true
Yeah.
too. I understand. I haven't gotten to the end of the world like you, Dan, but I mean, I just was. I mean, I know how much water comes off the top of my tool truck. You know, because I have actually, they have channels on them, and you know, when you go to take off, it's just like
Yes.
257 Chevy Tell. You
Sure.
know, there's a lot of water up on top of that truck. So,
Well, yeah, think about a bus. What is the length of your bus, or what is the height or the total dimensions of the roof?
40 foot long, 8 foot wide.
Okay, so there's 320 square feet. So if you get a quarter of an inch of rain, which is not a massive rain, but a pretty good rain, a quarter of an inch of rain times 320. Let's see, what do you got? 160. That's 80. 80 square feet times 1 inches divided by 12. You just picked up yourself, about 7 cubic feet of water. And I think each cubic foot of water has about 7 or 8 gallons in it. So that's 90 gallons of water you're picking up for a quarter inch rain.
Wow.
So that'll replenish your tank pretty quickly.
Yeah. I never thought about
Think
that.
about it, you know, so for those of you who haven't read the book 1 Second After, and I couldn't recommend it more, you know, they go through a really good scenario of what happens if the grid actually does go down. So, you know, that faucet that we're so accustomed to filling up our tanks with is just going to go away in a matter of hours. And so I think about how are you going to get water, which is very heavy, up into your vehicle. I mean, try pumping it out of a stream. It ain't easy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's
you
true.
know, I mean, God already gave it to us, you know, coming from the top. So, you know, you let gravity and a collection system bring it into your vehicle. I'm just saying that because water is the single fastest thing you'll run out of in a grid down scenario.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you got to be prepared for that one.
Now I was just looking at the water catch for my drains on my garage here into a barrel. The section you put into your drain pipe in the middle. So I was just looking at those so to run into my barrels. So that's my next thing. As soon as the weather gets a little nicer.
Yeah. Do you have rain barrels at home?
Yeah, I have a couple. I haven't used them yet,
Okay.
but that's part of my plan.
Yeah, I went out and bought about 40 rain barrels. And what's nice about them is you can use them for rain. I also use them for animal feed. And lastly, I put them in my basement with everything in them. You know, I've got hundreds and hundreds of pounds of food stored away.
Mhm.
You know, I've got a 55-gallon drum of just beans and a 55-gallon drum of pasta and on and on and on. So,
Nice.
you know, they're super cheap and incredibly useful. So,
Yeah.
you can't have enough rain barrels.
That's true. That's true. Now, do you buy them? Like, there's a guy that sells them on the corner. Do you buy them from a business, or you get them anywhere you can get them?
I buy them from a business that specializes in recycling barrels, and so you have to get certified food grade.
Food grade, yeah.
And be careful, because there are people out there that'll sell you a rain barrel that, in fact, you don't want to put food in because it contains some sort of a petroleum distillate and it'll leach into your water. So you do have to make sure you're buying food grade rain barrels.
Okay.
So is food grade basically stainless and aluminum?
Nope.
Plastic.
No, in fact, I buy it black polymer that was used for food and is food safe. And because they're black, you can store water outside for an extended period of time and it won't go bad.
Okay.
Like, you know, under an RV, your water tank will be kind of that opaque white color.
Mm-hmm.
That will algae up on you in less than a week in the sun.
Wow.
So you have to be careful about food grade that isn't black.
Right. I'm learning that through my hydroponic system because I have some that's not running pumps and they're all in dark containers. Keep the algae out. Yep.
Yeah, I just found it. Like I did the winterization of my RV just about 2 weeks ago, and had no idea. I decided to do something silly. I cut a 2-inch hole inside of my water tank so that I could actually pour vodka into it. Because vodka is about the best antifreeze you can buy for an RV water system. It's the cheapest and best you can buy. And when I cut a 2-inch hole in the side of it, I found out that my freshwater tank on my very expensive RV was filled with algae and mold.
Oh my goodness.
So I had to go in and treat all that. So, I mean, this is something that I wasn't expecting, but, you know, once I cut into it and I had this 2-inch viewport, I realized that even something that I took for granted with, you know, a 3-year-old RV that has always been garaged and taken care of was filled with mold and algae. So
wow.
You got to be careful about this stuff, even when you don't think you have to.
Yeah.
That water that you have, do you treat that at all with Clorox or anything? I mean, or do you keep it? I mean, so if you're storing water in a food protective thing, what's the average life of that? But are you also treating it with anything or stirring it or moving, keeping it from?
Okay, so no, I'm not putting water right now in water barrels. And the reason I'm not is because I've got many, many ways to collect water around my place. As long as I've got the containers, I'm good. Because I can fill the containers anytime I want from a ring. And as far as my RV, I am now treating the system with bleach. So long story short, when you do go to rain barrels, you are collecting rainwater, it is not a bad idea to put a few drops of bleach. And I think the formula is if the water is clear and it's at around room temperature, I think it's 1 to 2 drops per gallon, and let it sit for an hour is the formula, and then it's completely safe to drink. Just in case something did get in there, that'll kill it.
Mm-hmm.
And is that with just bleach, or could you use iodine?
Well, I keep both. I keep bottles of iodine because it's convenient. You can leave one in the glove box of your vehicle. But I actually keep about 10 gallons of bleach at my house for that purpose. You know, just because it's so easy and convenient to put a couple drops of bleach in.
Yeah, we treated our water out at our missile site with bleach, and they had a pump that injected the bleach into the water as it was pumping it out of the well, and that's all we ever used was plain bleach. It worked the best, but you have to be careful not to over bleach it.
Yes, you got to be careful not to over bleach. About once a year, I'd pour a gallon of bleach down the wellhead on the old house I was living in. And from time to time, 1 gallon down the well was a little stiff. To the point when you got in the shower, you smelled the bleach. So you had to let it run through for a while. But it helped keep the pipes clean. It helped keep the water in the because even the well water can go stagnant if you're not consuming a lot of it. And bacteria grows up inside the well casing and around the pump if you don't have an ultraviolet light in there.
Mm-hmm.
Can you filter that after the bleach to drink it?
Absolutely. Yeah, look, I spent a fair amount of time in different pools in North Africa, and like we at one point we were forced to drink out of the River Nile, and I can't even tell you how many things live in the River Nile that are small enough you can't see them, but they can put a dam on you. So we would routinely just fill up blister bags, hanging on a tripod, and then throw some bleach in there, and then we would actually filter it through just a do-rag, the Army green cravat. We would just filter it through a cravat with a little bit of bleach in it, and that's what we would drink for months at a time. And it was actually fairly safe that way.
Nice.
All right, guys, I'm going to call it a night tonight. I got to get up early. I started my new job, my new employment in the great state of Texas today. My Maco man's going to contact you and verify that I'm a decent person. I'm supposed to see him tomorrow.
Oh, I got a list here. Hold on, let me top this list.
I've been looking for that guy.
What's the fee for that service?
No problem, Paul.
I'll be posting some pictures soon on Facebook. I think everybody's going to be rather impressed with the shop that I agreed to take employment in. It's down by Dallas, so it's a little bit of a drive for me. It's about a 90-minute drive. But oh my God, the place is filled with really some badass cool cars.
Right.
And
You don't want to name who it is?
Excuse me?
You want to name the name of the shop?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and name the name of the shop. It's Iron Horse Classics in just outside of Dallas, Texas. I'm not too sure the exact name of the town. What is it? Wiley, Texas.
Okay.
They do a lot of motorcycles there too, don't they?
I hadn't seen any motorcycles, but I haven't seen the whole place yet either.
A name like Iron Horse, you would think there's some bikes in there.
They could very well be. I know he's good friends with Rick Farrell's.
Yeah.
It's called Iron Horse Classics. It's primarily serious high-end hot rods and muscle cars and pro touring style.
Okay. Well, man, best of luck with you.
Good luck, Paul.
I don't think I need any luck for me. You guys need to give luck to the people I'm working with to work with me.
All right.
Pass it on then.
We'll send a note.
Yeah.
Yes. They learned that my name is No Class today, and they're liking it.
All right.
They said it fits.
Hey, do your thing, Paul.
Thanks a lot. Keep in touch, everybody, and fantastic. Happy New Year to everyone. 2023 may start off a little rocky the way it started off, but let's just hope that it's going to continue to be a good year, and we can only go up, not down.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Keep
All right.
stumbling along.
Take care,
Take
Paul.
care, everyone.
All right, Paul. Take it easy.
Hey, Dan, I had a question for you. If you don't mind me talking about the TV show. So you had a guy that was your mechanic, and something would come up, and he'd get all aggravated. That ain't going to fit or something. Does he still work for you? And was that just for the cameras?
That describes several people, but I think was he bald?
No, not the older guy. I would say he was probably in his late 30s, early 40s, maybe 30s. He was always complaining about, that ain't going to fit or this or something.
And this is not me you're talking about.
He was always working on engines.
There were a lot of guys, I watch the show every day. There's episodes on that I catch, and some are older and some are the later ones. And you see, boy, the characters really changed a lot.
Yeah, you had that tall guy with the glasses. He did a lot of woodworking and other stuff. He's like a shop manager.
Yeah, that's Rob.
Is he he wasn't on the show after a certain while, but was he still there?
So, wow. Okay, so this is a big, complex subject. The guys would come on to the show depending on the needs of the vehicles we were shooting, and how they handled being on TV. I had guys that would come on TV and then they lost their mind. They would do stupid things around the shop, and I had to take them off of TV. There were other guys that they were doing great things, but we weren't doing a car that met the needs of the Discovery Channel, so they wouldn't be on the show. So, and then because of the show, turnover on the shop was actually really high. Like today, turnover is quite low, but when you shoot a TV show and you're really filming mechanics shooting a TV show, there's a lot of butthurt people one way or the other. They either don't want to be filmed as much or want to be filmed 3 times as much. So long story short, a combination of turnover, needs of the Discovery Channel, and their sanity in front of a camera would determine whether or not they would stay in front of the camera.
What type of needs did the Discovery Channel impart on you, Dan?
Oh, you can't even imagine. They didn't like Camaros and Corvettes.
Really?
And that's what you like the best.
Corvettes and Camaros are half of our business as a rule.
Right.
And because they only wanted to see 2 or 3 of those a year, and we were doing 30 cars a year, people that were working on Corvettes and Camaros, typically we wouldn't film the shows. We would film, odd things, Studebakers, Packers,
Volvos, Fiats.
That weird French guy there that jumped up and down.
Yeah. So they always wanted the different stuff. In fact, I can't even tell you how many times the president of the network would call me up and say, Dan, we can't be the Corvette and Camaro show. So,
wow.
so I always had to juggle the cars that went in front of the camera based against what the network wanted for a show. And I mean, these were real cars and real customers, so that made it tough at times.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make payroll, and they're telling me that they need 30 cars this year, and they're not going to allow 40% of the cars I've got in the shop, and that sort of stuff happens all the time.
Did they ever? Because I'm curious, did they ever come through and make?
It was a juggling act, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
Did they ever come through and try to make?
I don't know who the guy is that. I guess I'd have to see, who the angry guy was, because what we didn't do was we didn't film like a lot of the other shows where, actors would pretend to be mechanics in front of the film while real mechanics would build cars behind the scenes. We didn't do any of that. In fact, they actually pushed us to do that, and I refused. So only real mechanics, like we had no one on the show that was a quote unquote actor or ever paid to do anything on the show.
Well, that's the way it should be. Yep.
Yeah.
That's why I
but I
only
gotta
watched
tell you,
your
it's
show.
really tough.
Go ahead, Justin.
So a question I've got is, I guess, in regards to the network controlling some of the stuff they show or
Justin, I
don't
think
show.
you're right.
Yeah. Did the network ever come in and make
Oh,
decisions?
that is a long pregnant pause.
Did they ever try to make some decisions on how a car was built? Like, well, we don't want to see another red painted car, or they want to try and change a car to be built a certain way.
Dan, can you hear him?
I can't hear anything but you.
Oh, really? Somebody else say something.
Can you hear
I
me?
hear Dan quite well. Do you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay.
You hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Just
Not me, though.
Justin.
Yes, Justin?
I hear
Stuck.
Justin fine.
Wow.
Could hear.
I am not hearing Justin. Sorry.
I could hear Justin. I
So-
could hear Papa Squirrel.
So Dan, Justin was basically asking, did the network ever say, well, we don't want you to do this car red, we want it done this color or a certain type of build differently than what the customer wanted?
No, they never got into my shorts that deep. You know, there are certain things they wouldn't allow. They wouldn't allow too much of the same car. Ironically enough, they required a certain number of swearing. You know, they required us to swear, which was a very contentious issue because much of the film crew were very good. You know, they're very well-mannered Christian folks, and so the swearing sometimes caused a lot of problems on the set. And I was never allowed to say or suggest anything at all that could even be remotely construed politically conservative under any circumstance.
Yeah.
You know, like at one point I made just a simple comment about you should stand for the flag, and oh my God, the kickback I got for that was unbelievable.
Really?
And
Oh,
see,
yeah.
I don't
Oh, yeah.
understand that because I always had to in the military, and I still do it.
Well,
Oh yeah.
you know,
But it's Discovery
Right.
Channel. I mean, it's Discovery Channel. We all know those guys are so woke. It's not funny.
that's just it. That I think. Here's my belief. I think less than half the people that are woke on all these different networks are actually woke. I think though that if they don't portray being woke, they're afraid of being ostracized by those
Yeah.
who really are.
That could be
So
true.
I'm fairly convinced many actors out there, actors, actresses, producers, publishers, all this, are actually people, but they have to act in a certain way just to keep up that false, you know, that virtue signal.
Right.
Yeah. No, I believe that too.
Yeah, which is a shame, right? I mean, I'm a pretty unapologetic conservative.
Yeah.
Good.
Why not?
You know, I was in the military for 24 years. God, it's the greatest thing I ever did, and I just can't believe that, you know, there's so much of America who's given a lot for this flag, and now all of a sudden you're being celebrated if you sort of piss on it.
Yep.
And to me that just doesn't sit right. So I'm very against this whole Colin Kaepernick and you know, look, Subway. Like I will never eat at Subway again because they hired that twit that became the, you know, flag, you know, kneeling soccer player. So I won't eat at Subway. I won't drink a Coke anymore. I will never again enjoy a Pepsi. I just, you know, I've actually had to cut a lot out of my diet and out of my life because of this stupid wokeness.
Yeah, I've started doing the same thing. Really,
Yeah.
it's awful.
It is. It's disgusting. Like I've cut Home Depot out. I will never step in Home Depot again. I mean, the stuff that they're doing is just, it's disgusting. It's un-American. It's not even, it's subhuman. And so I figure they're not going to get my money, and I'm not going to support them for all their stupidity.
Yep.
So,
Dick's Sporting Goods is another one. I cut them out.
oh, really?
Yeah, I'm a large gun guy, and they
Oh, yeah.
they put a hit on it, so won't get any of my cash.
Yeah, that's a good point. I know that they have they cut out guns completely? I know they cut out pistols, but have they cut out long range?
The AR platforms.
Who was that, Lewis?
Dick's Sporting Goods.
Oh, Dick's. Yeah, they did. Yeah, a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, but I think they cut
Yeah,
out
I
the
think
ARs
they cut
because
out
they're
at
black.
least.
I'm pretty sure that they're just racist.
Yeah.
Yep. You're right. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Well, down here, I don't think they even have
Yeah,
long guns.
so
They have-
just basically in general, I'm let me get back on the survival thing fairly quickly. You know, I look at a scenario of things going bad. So I got rain barrels. Like I say, I use them for all sorts of different things, but I've got them available for rain should I need them. I keep bleach. What does it cost for 10 gallons of bleach? Like a whopping $20. So I got $20 stored in my basement for bleach. I'm freeze drying food and canning. I mean, I am canning unbelievable amounts of food these days. And as I told my wife, you know, like we just canned 15 gallons of spaghetti last week. And so the beauty is when I need a spaghetti and we don't want to do a big cook, we just take a quart of spaghetti sauce, throw it in a saucepan, throw in a pound of noodles, and we got dinner for the night. But if the refrigeration ever goes down and my solar is killed by EMP and everything goes wrong, I got spaghetti for 5 years sitting in my cellar. So all of the stuff I'm doing to prep, I'm also actually using in my day-to-day life. So it's not even really like it's costing me much to do.
Now, do you can your in the big barrels?
No. And look, I got to tell you a cool secret I discovered. I went out and I bought about 20 cases of mason jars. And by the way, if you want to store water, go get yourself a dozen cases of mason jars. Fill them with water, can for water. And I know that's going to sound a little bit crazy, but you not only have water that will last forever, you have sterile water that can be used for surgical purposes. So, believe it or not, canned water is a great way to use mason jars that you're not using for fruits and vegetables.
Right.
I just scored 4 cases. There were 24 in a case, mason jars, pints.
Yeah.
At a yard sale for $1.
Wow.
You killed it.
Those have gone up in price. You go to Walmart, they want stupid money for them now.
I know. And I was like, I brought it home, and of course, the first thing is my wife is, so what's the still? Where's the still? Where's the still at? And I said, no, I just think this is a good thing to have laying around. You never know when you need it.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you what I discovered about a month ago. I decided to do an experiment. You know these 1 gallon glass pickle jars?
Yeah.
I've got a fair number of them. Did you know you can can in any jar in your house?
About prepping again.
Yep.
You don't need mason jars.
No.
Yeah, I've seen.
I'm canning in old jelly jars. I'm canning in jalapeno jars and pickle jars. I'm canning in all of these jars, and you can use them over and over again, and they work just as well as a mason jar.
Yeah, I've been saving relish. I've got a handful of relish jars. I clean them out and save them.
Yeah. I don't throw away any glass bottles anymore. I keep them all.
Yeah, I seen the Amish. I was watching a video with some Amish. They interviewed an Amish person that was canning, and that's what they were doing. They saved all those jars.
Yep. So basically now when I go to buy food, if I have to pay a little tiny bit more for a glass jar than like if you're going to buy ragu, and I no longer buy ragu because I make all my own sauces. But if you're going to go buy, a spaghetti sauce, don't buy it in a plastic bottle. Buy it in a glass jar. Clean out that glass jar, and you now have something that can be used to store whatever you want for 3, 4, 5 years without a problem. So, you can can meat, right? Like you can literally just take hamburgers and can hamburgers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, going back to the bleach. And I've seen this like at my parents' house because of stuff that I had like antifreeze that's been sitting in a plastic bottle for 35 years and all of a sudden explode and start to leak or, the plastic breaks down. Now, like you said, bleach is so cheap. And if you buy a couple gallons, do you change that into a different container or storage wise? Because eventually, isn't that that canister is going to break down?
It will. And in fact, I discovered the amount of time it takes about 10 years.
It's not me, Lewis.
Okay, yeah, I'm checking.
Someone's
So-
TV is on or someone's talking.
You know, what you're talking about is rotating stock, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, you know, I keep 10 gallons of bleach for water purification, but my wife does laundry. So when she needs a gallon of bleach, we get her one of the ones out of the basement, and then, you know, once we've used a few of them, we go buy some new ones. We just rotate our stock. So
Oh. Well, I mean, eventually, you know, after the 30 seconds after theory, there won't be a time to buy. You won't be able to buy anymore.
no, but if you've got a 10-year supply of bleach, then it really doesn't matter, because 10 years from now, if we don't have some level of infrastructure back, you know,
Well,
you're going.
hopefully it won't be the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So,
Yeah.
so the point is let's just say I've got my 10-year supply of bleach, but it turns out that 5 years into it, there's no signs of getting better. At that point, I can take some of the jars that I had that I was using for spaghetti sauce that I've now consumed spaghetti sauce. You put the bleach in a glass jar, and now it'll last forever. As long as you keep it in the shade, you know, keep it in the cellar out of the sun. It'll last forever now.
Yeah.
Right. So tell us about your store, because you're selling prep food.
We are. In fact, if anybody needs MREs, let me know. I bought 100,000 of them. And you know, we're using them for everything. We're using them as promotional giveaways. We're using them like MREs. If you go on Amazon today, a case of MREs will bring anywhere from about $80 to $150 for one case.
Mm-hmm.
We're selling 12 cases for $240. I mean, we're selling them at pennies on the dollar of what anybody else is. So,
Right.
yeah, we've got MREs, we've got cases and cases of dehydrated food, books, water purification systems. Hell, we probably have 1,000 water purification systems in our retail store. You know, everything from ones that fit in your pocket to ones that'll do 5,000 to 10,000 gallons. So, you know, and we're doing solar lanterns and stoves and camping gear. So we're trying to get into a little bit of everything.
Nice. Now, how can everybody get to your store? Like, what's your website?
Well, and we have a website. It's called Easy Homesteading. So easyhomesteading.com. And we are not shipping everything that's in our store just because of the logistics of it. I'm just not equipped for that yet. So, you know, if you're in the Hampton Roads area, stop in, because we do some amazing deals. Everything in our store is cheaper than you can buy it on Amazon, cheaper than you can buy it anywhere else in America. If you go to our online store, we still have a lot of stuff in our online store that will ship. But like, for instance, the MREs, think a case of MREs that I'll sell for $20, it will cost more than $20 to ship it. That's why I only sell MREs for walking.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah.
In order to keep sort of the deal. And for instance, we've got a veterans organization that deals with guys that lost limbs in combat. And so in about a week, they're coming by and we're giving them, I think, 60 cases of MREs for their guys.
Nice.
You know, so if you guys are part of veterans organizations that are actually, you know, decent and you know, legitimate veterans organizations, we're supporting you guys with food and things. You have to come by and pick them up, but you know, they're sending a truck down here from New Jersey to pick up 60 cases.
That's great. That is great. When you were unloading the trucks, man, I'm like, man, look at all that stuff.
Yeah. We had 4 tractor trailers filled with MREs, and the first tractor trailer that unloaded, and this was funnier than hell. The guy shows up and he doesn't speak a lick of English. I'm pretty sure he was, you know, some sort of a Croatian, you know, terrorist or something. But he shows up. The truck is loaded in a way that we can't unload it, so we have to tie it down with forklifts and move the move the Connex to the point where we can actually unload it. And we got the Connex unloaded, and we noticed that his container was, instead of being an 8-foot container, it was a 9'6" container. Well, a 9'6" container on a 4-foot flatbed is now 13'6".
Too high.
A little bit higher than some bridges, just enough. And so, you know, when he's leaving out of my place, I said, "Which way are you going?" You know, and you know, I'm using mostly sign language, and he goes, "Too tall," and he points in a direction, and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, go that way, and it'll get you through the system." I get a call half an hour later. He decided to take the shortcut and go through the the Midtown Tunnel at 50 miles an hour, hit the Connex on the bridge. It came off in another car. Fortunately, no one got hit. And I have to drive out because at this point, my name is all over the Connex, and DOT is calling me. And I go out there, and I'm looking at this guy like, "What the hell?" He goes, "I didn't know." And I'm like, "You lying sack! You knew exactly it was too tall, and you drove through the bridge anyway." So that was quite the day. We spent the entire day trying to lift off the highway this crushed Connex that now we had a problem because it was too tall to move anywhere from there too. So
yeah,
it took all day to move the skip tank.
Wow.
God, an
Always something.
exercise in well, screw ups.
Yeah, you know, it's like if you're gonna ship a 9'6" container, you got to put it on a low enough truck to, you know, clear the bridges. You'd think. So ironically, the guy made it all the way from Jacksonville, Florida to Norfolk. But when we removed 25,000 meals from the truck, it lifted the truck just enough to hit the bridge.
Yep.
All it took.
That's crazy.
So my guess is that he was skimming paint off the top of the Connex coming into town, but that skimming paint went, you know, and he only hit it by probably 1.5 or 2 inches, but that's enough to rip. All of the chains were snatched. He had 3 cargo straps on it that were 50,000-pound cargo straps and 4 chains, and it tore all of it loose.
Wow.
So that was quite a mess.
I bet. Okay, so next thing, your Jeep, or not Jeep, what do you have in there? You have
FJ.
FJ. Yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
So that's a very cool vehicle in that we've done a fair number of mods to it, and we're continuing to do mods. So we've started up armoring it. You know, that way you can at least it'll stop like 9mm rounds and 45s and 22s. It's also got not only a shielded alternator and a points distributor, but a spare set of both in a Faraday cage. It also, we put a snorkel on it, but we decided instead of making it a fake snorkel like 98% of the ones on the road, it's actually a real snorkel. So if anybody out there has real good hints on how to marinize our alternator from salt water, I'd love to hear it, because I've been doing research on it and no one will explain how to marinize an alternator to go into salt water. I
don't think you can, because salt water is a son of a bitch and will eat through anything and get anywhere. It's just nasty stuff.
Well, we're going to try, right? We're going to keep doing it. The problem is if you marinize it, it'll hold heat. So that's what I think my biggest problem is. You just can't seal it up, otherwise they'll overheat. Alternators produce a ton of heat. And of course it's got sleeping quarters on the FJ for 4. Plus we've got seating for 7 in an FJ, and all sorts of emergency systems on it. And in fact, we're about to send it out with 4 guys into the woods to see how they deal with, if it actually is survivable, because we're sending them out with no water and just some dehydrated food, and we're going to see if with water collection and purification systems and solar stoves, So in other words, we're not going to give them any propane or any fuels for heating. Can they actually heat food, collect water, drink water, and do okay? So we'll find out here in the next couple of weeks if that works. And we're filming that story.
Now, what year vehicle is that?
71.
I was just asking the same question.
What level of survival
I
training do these guys have who are going to go out in the truck?
The guy who's leading this expedition, number one, he's been working with me now for 7 years. So, you know, what I know, I've been working with him on. And he, his dream, like I asked him yesterday just to see if his dream had changed. I said, if you could have anything in the whole world you wanted, and money is no object, what would it be? He literally wants like Ted Kaczynski's cabin in the middle of the woods with a small body of water and no neighbors for 50 miles.
Wow.
So, you know, he is a survivalist. That is his very nature. He wants to be left alone and just live in the woods by himself and create his own food and do his own water. So he's already in that mindset.
Okay.
So I think he'll do fine.
You know who has a nice setup too is Rick from Pawn Stars.
Oh, really?
He has an off-grid in Oregon, I want to say it is. I was doing some research on batteries, and Battleborn did his system, and so they went out and did a big interview of his off-grid home, and he's running solar, water generation, and wind turbines.
Yeah.
And he's running a full-blown wood shop off grid. Yeah, he's doing it pretty big out there.
So Dan, I got a thought on the alternator. I know this sounds stupid, but could you by right, and I don't know what you have for space inside the vehicle, but could you run a shaft out with a pulley with, you know, a belt, and have a go, if you had solid motor mounts, of course, and put the alternator inside the vehicle and run it like a straight shaft, you know what I'm saying, extending the pulley? I know it sounds crazy, but.
Well, you possibly could, but the problem is that the inside of this vehicle goes 6 feet underwater.
So it had to be high.
So it would have to be above the 6 foot point. In other words, the entire inside of the vehicle will be underwater.
Oh.
That's I had a 69 International Scout, and I had flipped the axles, had 13 inches of lift with 35s on it. And I would go in the water or in the stream, and it would be, you know, the truck was 4 feet, 5 feet up in the air, and I was headlight level. I mean, I would, and like you said, the whole interior filled with water. And
Yeah.
I, you know, like I said, I had AC tape around the distributor and around the air cleaner, and had a snorkel kit on it. And like I said, it you just didn't want to turn it off because you weren't going to restart it.
Yeah, that's true. What, a gas motor?
Yeah.
And what did you do with the alternator? Because that's my biggest.
The alternator stayed out. The alternator stayed out, but I was in fresh water. I mean, I was in a river or a stream, so it was fresh water.
Ain't no
Did the
Amphicar.
alternator get filled with water?
Huh?
Was the alternator submerged?
Yep.
Did it cause any problems?
Nope. I drove that thing around in the water nonstop. The only time I ever had a mistake was when I came up out of the water one time. I turned it off and then let all the water drain, and I went to go start it right back up, and the water running out from the bell housing and everything. The starter hydrolocked, and the starter got messed up, and I couldn't. It was automatic. I couldn't start it then. I had to put a new starter on. I turned it off too soon. I didn't let everything drain out.
Yeah.
Just don't go in the water. You'll be all set.
Water or above the water?
Huh?
Was the exhaust running into the water or above the water?
The exhaust it looked like a little motorboat. When I had the top off of it, you just see the little the exhaust coming out. And like I said, you just had to leave it running. You couldn't turn it off because you weren't going to restart it.
Now, how about a case that you can run antifreeze through the case?
I was just gonna
keep it cool.
Like a computer, yeah, like a cool computer.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, I don't know if you'd want to do that full time. I'm just thinking the resistance in the alternator might be a problem. I don't know.
The Lexus LS400
That
supposedly
might be
has
possible.
coolant
just
through it on
basically
the
turn it into a liquid cooled alternator.
on the alternator.
I don't know. Let's think about that one. I hadn't contemplated that.
Isaac's, you probably can't hear him, but he's saying that the Lexus, what is it? Isaac?
The LS400,
The LX400
the Lexus
Lexus
LS400
has
it supposedly has a liquid cooled alternator.
Liquid cool alternator.
Why would they do that?
Have you seen the amps they're getting out of these alternators now?
Sorry.
Because our
something went
cars
wrong.
use so much electricity. No.
Oh yeah, there's 300 and 400 amps coming out of some of these now.
Yeah.
In the days of 63 amp alternators being the high output is long gone.
When 37 was the norm and 63 was the high output.
Exactly.
Oh
yeah.
Crazy.
Dean, have you contacted any of these guys that rebuild alternators for you and asked their opinion?
You know, I actually haven't, because when you start asking people to build alternators how to make one run underwater, they generally hang up on you anyway.
Yeah.
The Marine Corps, when they drive their Humvees off of the ships, they get into water deep enough to get into the alternators. I'm wondering if they get on land when they get a chance, flush everything out with fresh water and don't worry about it.
And that might just be the solution, right? Like if you kept a couple gallons of fresh water and you go through the salt water, and part of the concern with salt water would be, conductivity, right? I mean, salt water is you're talking about an electrical thing in salt water, just not a good combination. But maybe I just give it a try. Maybe I just run one underwater in salt water, see what happens, and flush it out, see if it still works.
The only time I ever had a problem, and I did this in my tool truck, was I went through, we had some heavy rains, and I went through, and of course, it was dry, but it was hot. And when I went through the ice cold water, it turned the alternator ice blue and fried it. So, oh yeah, that alternator was ice blue because I lost battery right away. I mean, I was running on battery, and it was pretty deep water in the old tool truck.
You know, it's funny. The other thing I was just thinking of is like a race car. What about an electrical disconnect to open the field circuit of the alternator when you go underwater? So now it's not charging. So it's just spinning, but not charging. So you don't have any electricity being produced. And then when you come up and it drains out, you can kick the field circuit back in.
Yeah, just shut off the insider circuit.
Well, just like you do in a race car. A lot of guys run a toggle switch and shut the alternator off when they make a run to save that fraction of a horsepower.
Yeah, that's actually a good point, because then you're no longer worried about conductivity. You're only worried about, corrosion in the long run.
Right. And then you could flush it with fresh water. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Look, I know you can pressure wash an alternator and there's no problem, right? So
yeah.
you certainly get wet inside. That's not the issue.
I mean, the parts in them is sealed. The rectifier is sealed. Your windings, it's got that coating on all the windings and stuff. So I mean, by right.
Well, no, the only problem is where everything connects. There's a nut or an open, something that's not sealed. So the connections are the fail point.
This isn't a real good picture, but I used to let me see if I can see. That's the front of the Scout, and I used to run the water all the way up to the hood, going through the lake
like that.
Huh?
No wonder it looks like that.
Yeah. But it was all completely submerged.
Wow. Why were you doing that, Brian? What was the
because we would just go out four-wheeling and
Because
go
you
through.
could.
And we had a stream that we used to drive through, and it'd be 5 or 6 of us all go out there, and we would literally go out to the middle of the stream. And of course, with the Scout, I could take. Well, my buddy had a Bronco, and we all take the tops off. We all park, and you could sit around on top of the hood, drinking beer and doing stuff that you weren't supposed to do everywhere.
So before you were Macho Man, you were Maniac Man.
Yeah.
He
Okay,
still is.
Just for the fun of it.
got it.
But I, like I said, it sat for hours out running in the lake.
So-
Never had a problem.
So Dan, will you be producing these for sale?
Well, so the short answer is yes. Right now, what we're trying to do is prove out things. I went to SEMA in November, and there was an entire section dedicated to off-grid. Only when you actually started looking at everything, it was really just expensive, fancy camping gear.
Yeah.
And very little of it was off-grid. And my definition of the difference between off-grid and camping is that if it's camping gear, whatever you go out with, you come back with something different. You go out with full propane tanks, you come back with empty ones. You go out with full batteries, you come back with empty batteries, and so on and so forth. If you have true off-grid equipment, you go out and you come back with the same thing. Because whether you're out for a week or a month, you should basically it's got to be a self-replenishing system.
Right.
So with respect to water, power, cooking, all of those things, you need to be able to sort of regenerate. And so as I was looking at that stuff, it gave me the idea that no one is actually looking at fully off-grid stuff. Even the company called Off Grid Trailers, they have a 2-pound propane container for the shower on the trailer. And I said, what are you going to do after the first 3 showers? And he goes, yeah, that's about what you got is 3 showers and then you're out of hot water.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, but if you had a rain collection system, like on my beach, I set up I've got water that runs down a stream. I dug a 75-gallon tank into the stream bed, and so I fill up the 75-gallon tank. Then I run a line out of it, a 2-inch line out of it, into a solar heater. And so on the beach at my house, you can go turn on the faucet anytime, and provided the sun is out, and even on a cold day, get a hot shower on the beach, a hot, fresh shower. And you can literally let the hot water run 20, all day long. It'll just stay hot. And so that's kind of my concept is everything should regenerate. And so once I figure out how to make, a vehicle actually do things that others won't, then yes, the plan is to start, letting other people in on this stuff.
Nice. I'm gonna have to bring my bus down there. You can play with it.
You should. It'd be, we'll see if there aren't a few things we can do for you. And look, the idea of turning off the alternator, I'll be honest with you, that's both a genius and like blatantly obvious suggestion. So thank you. I appreciate that. And
that's only because I was an auto electric rebuilder for many years, and I still dabble with it. So, actually, I think Scott said something that tripped it in my head, and like everything, it's a collaboration. You have little bits from different places, and then you come up with an idea that might actually work.
Well, and so here's what I'm now thinking. I don't know if you ever use, and I can't remember the name of it. They now call it Cosmoline, but it's not really Cosmoline. Have you used any of those sprays that turn into wax after they're on?
No, I've seen a couple.
Yeah, I've got a few, and I order them out of like Arizona, Colorado. I can't get them locally, but you spray this stuff on metal parts, and like WD-40, which is a water displacer, it actually removes the water, but this stuff actually puts a wax coating, and at least it feels like wax.
I'll show you
And
something.
so what I'm thinking is, if I turn off the alternator, throw a little bit of fresh water in it, and then douse it in this, protective Cosmoline substance, maybe that's the simplest solution, and I don't need to worry about building a cage or water cooling or doing anything else. Maybe the solution is as simple as a a spray can and a gallon of fresh water, and then a switch to turn it off, which quite honestly simplifies the equation considerably.
Just reminded me of something I have in my collection. I have a case of 1970 military gun oil. That's got a case of this stuff. I was going to sell it on eBay. But
send me a bottle before you sell it.
I know you. Yeah, it smells like an old piece of military equipment.
Which is
Hey guys, I gotta take off.
All right,
Thanks,
Scott.
Scott.
Happy New Year, everyone.
You too.
See you, Scott.
Thanks for coming.
Take care. Be good.
All right, take it easy.
All right.
And unfortunately, the only other thing you got to watch out for with the water is stay away from a serpentine belt.
Yeah, I don't use serpentine. In fact, we're talking about vehicles that have very little on them, right? Not a lot of power equipment, power steering, power brakes, just the most basic vehicle you can possibly have with the simplest electrical system you can possibly have.
And it's funny because, like on my tool truck on the Isuzu, it has I have an extra air conditioning, a compressor for the air conditioning in the back. And the best belt that I found was a appliance belt, heavy duty appliance belt.
Yeah. Is it
and
great?
that one lasts. If I run the belt they want me to run, I'll put 3 belts on in an AC season. And I think the belt that I have on now will last for over 2 years.
Yeah.
Is that
you're absolutely right. I buy my belt from an appliance warehouse.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had one that was green, and the one that I have on now is black. It's I think it's a Gates. I can't remember a Gates A8 or something like that, but it was a appliance.
Yeah.
Appliance belt.
You went to Gates and Graves, right? Where Herman Munster worked.
Yeah. But I mean, like I said, that was, my that was the older truck, which I wish I have more problems with the new tool truck because it's got a serpentine belt on it, and I have more problems with the serpentine belt than I did with the old V belt.
What type of problems do you have?
Oh, slippage. Anytime when you get, because the belts hang so low, and like I said, if we have a lot of rain, and you drive through a puddle, whatever, it between the squealing or the spinning on it and so forth.
So see, but now we know from what we learned tonight that you're probably not avoiding puddles and rain. You're probably like
no, dude. In the Washington area, half the time this stuff is all the roads are a stream because they're so bad. There is no water drainage.
Talk to Isaac.
Hell, half the time I try to drive in the middle. Luckily, I'm big enough and people get out of my way because I drive in the middle, down the middle of the road.
We'll just put 35s and a snorkel on the tool truck.
Right.
Well, hey, I've thought about it, but hey, I won't
So
be.
Dan.
I'm going through. I'm going through my renewal session, so I have to stay kind of in
Legit.
line. I can't go too stray yet.
You can't start the taco truck yet.
No, I had to. I can't turn on my LED lights. You know what I'm saying? They get upset. It's not
So Dan,
regulation.
how deep have you gotten into the battery and the solar?
So I've done a fair amount, but I'll tell you, my son, I'm sort of letting him take the lead on batteries. He has turned his entire life into lithium battery powered, and he's now going to the newest technology, which I think is a lithium iron disulfide technology. It's fairly new technology.
Yep.
Lower watts per kilogram, but longer life and bigger safety.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe one night I'll grab him and bring him online. But he now has he's a full-time RVer, and between his batteries and his solar system, uses almost no electricity to power his life.
Nice.
and does it all with lithium. Now I'll tell you, I'm working on a project right now with Dometic. Are you familiar with the very high efficiency DC freezers that they sell? Are you aware of those, Lou?
Wait, say it again.
Are you familiar with the Dometic high efficiency DC 12 volt freezers?
No.
Okay, world's greatest off-grid stuff. The problem with it is that they don't currently have a power system integrated with it to keep it actually off-grid. That right now they've still got it running off vehicle auxiliary systems. And so I'm working with them right now to develop a system that is actually completely self-contained and off-grid, where you could have a refrigerator and freezer without any alternate power supply at all, other than 3 days of sun a week is kind of the litmus test. You could run 3 days of sun a week. You can keep this system, keep your medications and everything that's critical, cold or frozen.
Wow, that's nice. Yeah, I have a the fridge that I have now for it is runs shore power or 12 volt. I can go 12 volt or 110. But yeah, I would like to hear about that refrigerator, because I'm telling you, I'm trying to go far as I can go.
Well, I've got something that actually doesn't exist in America. I've actually got a full-on 12 volt, 300 watt air conditioning system.
Really?
Look, 300 watts of air conditioning, which it actually, you can sit there and run it for a full day off a car battery, a full day.
Wow.
And a couple of folks just showed up at my shop. They spent $247,000 on a Sprinter that had an off-grid capability, and they said after 3 hours their system goes dead. That's all they've got. In my RV, I can run 12 hours of AC off a single lead battery, not even a high energy lithium.
Really?
So there's a lot of stuff out there that just sort of isn't mainstream, and I'm trying to pull all these together. And look, it's going to sound like you're being a sissy to have AC, but I've had to sleep at night where it was over 120 degrees at night.
Yeah.
And because you're inside a container and you're not allowed out. And let me tell you, when it's 120 degrees, you're not sleeping, and it becomes a safety issue because you're not operating during the day.
No.
So a 300 watt AC is actually a pretty cool little gadget.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet. Now, you said they don't sell those in the United States?
Nope, they're not available. It's an experimental system that I found through a company in Europe, and I got them to sell me one. And let me tell you, when you receive it, you're going to look at this going, this is BS, because there's no case on it, no cover. Literally, it's a thing. It's about the size of a large lunchbox. No covering. You're actually staring at the pump, the compressor. I mean, all the components are just visible. You've got to build your own case for it, but it works unbelievably well, and it only draws a max of 300 watts.
Wow.
So
that'd be big in the community, in the schoolie community.
Oh yeah, this is part of the way of the future, right? It's to go low current, low start energy. DC is the way you really want to go, because right now almost everyone who's running solar, solar produces DC electricity. Then we run it through an inverter, % and create AC. Then we turn it back into DC. So you're losing 20% with each transfer. So ideally, you want to go from low energy DC solar to low energy DC appliance.
Isn't rectification a wonderful thing?
It is. Yeah. Hey guys, I've had my second warning. I'm at 10% on my phone, and my Bluetooth is telling me it needs a recharge too.
Okay.
So I'm quickly turning into a pumpkin.
All right, Dan.
Hey, Dan, appreciate you coming back on, man. You can come on anytime. We'd love to have you.
Yeah, thanks. Look, I'm enjoying this, and I'll know a lot more about how this vehicle's doing, but I'm going to do that. In fact, next week I'm going to rewire the alternator, and then I'm going to try just literally sticking it in the bucket and turning it off, and I'm going to try a few things with a developmental test before I go stick it 6 feet underwater. But I think it's going to work.
Nice.
Nice.
Stranded. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Just take your triple A card in case you need to get towed.
Yeah,
I will. Thank you.
All right,
Good night.
Good night.
Good talking to you, Dan.
Take care.
Awesome.
That's great. That's great. All righty.
Yeah, I mean, when you got a group of people and you throw out some ideas, man, it makes people start thinking, and
It does. That's why the whole think tank thing, and there's a lot to it because a group is the sum of its parts. I know a lot of really intelligent guys. I've worked with and in engineering pretty much all my life, and some guys can do a lot of stuff. I haven't met anyone yet who does it all.
yeah. Oh no.
And you learn a little bit from each of these guys, and you take it with you, so you build your own toolbox of knowledge.
That's why you always listen.
Yeah, and ask questions. Yeah. No, well, when Scott started talking about putting the alternator in the cab with the shaft, I'm picturing it now. My mind's eye is picturing, saying, okay, you could divorce the alternator because guys run it off of a drive shaft. They run them off the back of a vehicle. So, all right, that's possible. But now when you want to run a long shaft, I'm thinking, wow, you're going to need intermediate pillow blocks because you want to have that shaft true and straight. It's got to be dead nut center. It's not impossible.
Well, I think Scott, when he was thinking that the truck wasn't going to fill up with water.
I wasn't either, really.
And I want to tell you something. I'll never forget the first time when I took Jenny out, and we're driving through the stream, and the water starts to come in, and she looks at me, and she's like standing on the seat, and I'm like, I told you to not, I told you to get wet. We're getting wet. And I mean, the whole time you're just sitting in water,
Right.
That's why we would go out and we would sit out in the stream, and we would park the trucks, and we were all about the same height, but we would all park the trucks up, and you're on the hood. I mean, you climbed over the windshield and you're out on top of the hood, and we sat out there all night,
I would like to hear her account of the first time.
He tried to kill me.
Maybe a little different than yours, just a little different.
Yeah, well, she didn't like the time that we drove off and I rolled the truck over on the side.
Oh boy!
And that was I was climbing up out, and the tire bounced, and there it went, and she laid over on its side, and we sat out there, and we had to pull the truck back over, but that she wasn't too happy about that.
She's worn a seatbelt ever since.
I didn't have seatbelts.
Oh well,
it didn't have seatbelts.
So answer me this, just to change the subject a little bit. When you shave your beard,
yeah,
what the hell does the wastebasket look like? Or do you just let it go on the floor? Like, what do you go outside, maybe on the deck?
Yeah, there's there's a couple birds building a condo association, and they got warm fuzz. Too bad it's 60 degrees out. They were like, tossing the excess hair out there.
It's like locks for love. You give them that nice soft fur for the nest.
Yeah,
it's funny. I never noticed that he didn't have a beard. I just don't pay attention to people.
Oh yeah, well, right, Brian, you're like Rob Leonard, the guy who does the show before me on Sundays. You both grow hair about the same rate, and you both have the same color hair and all, and you both grow a great beard. And Rob does the same thing. I'll come in one day and he'll be like, "Nope, it's totally shaved," but like give him 3 days. 2 days he'll be back.
Yeah. This is one day, and I got a pretty good stubble. It comes back pretty quick.
That's crazy.
Takes
it
me
drives
forever
me
to grow.
crazy. I hate shaving.
Right. So why'd you shave it? Why'd you take it off?
Because what happens is, I know this. I don't know. We still being recorded, but I hate it. It starts to puff up, And when I'm sleeping, it's like another little pillow.
Another pillow.
And
So
it drives me absolutely crazy. And I spend like all night going like this.
So what about that little device called the trimmer? You know, like see Lewis has nice, it's tighter on the sides and it's fuller on the bottom.
Because I hate all that. I just
How about
It's all or
how
nothing.
about you stop submerging it in the water when you drive?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey, you
so
can shave
yeah,
underwater.
I hate shaving, but I like the if I could keep it, I would just have like the 3-day growth all the time. That's what I
That's what you
want.
need the trimmer for. You just trim it to that length every 3 days.
But it's
just
the
bug it.
actual doing it. So
Man, you're a lazy bastard.
I am. Well,
I'm telling
unfortunately,
you. It's not that much work, really.
I hate it, dude.
I mean, I got to constantly trim my mustache because there's always new hair growing in my nose. I keep the trimmer right there, so it's just zzz, 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 done. 3 seconds, done. You know, move on. Go make coffee.
So, go make coffee. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I got to jump ship. I'm
All
not
right, Louis.
retired yet, like some people.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But being retired just means that you're tired today and retired tomorrow.
Right.
You're still
That's
retired
right.
no matter what.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So,
Tomorrow I start work on a I wanted to talk to Dan about this a little bit on a C4 Corvette.
Oh, nice.
The headlights?
Well, yeah, they're up. The guy that owns the shop bought this car for his soon-to-be son-in-law.
Oh, Lord.
Because he wants to get into cars, and I was like,
That's the wrong one.
That's the wrong one.
Should have got him a Buick or a Caddy or a Chevy or something he has a chance with. But
Or at least a C3. Get an older one.
Well, this is a C4, which is
That's the 80s, right? The junk.
Yeah.
At least an 85. It's the second year. But it needs a ton of work. Of course, you know, brakes and, you know, the lights are up. It needs a window regulator. It needs valve cover gaskets. And
You know what? That's what made Corvette, man. That took them out of the game for a long time.
Yeah.
Those 80 Corvettes.
I was working on a friend's C3 this week. He's got a real nice 69, I guess 69 or 70, 450. No, it's got to be a 70 or 454 car. They're just weird. The systems in those cars are strange. You know, everything about them is just a little different than a regular car. But yeah, rebuilt a spa motor motor and seals this week. Did that for his hot tub. Yeah, a little bit of everything.
Hey, I got a question for you guys. If I start putting on the podcast where you can go on like iTunes or Spotify and all those, will you guys listen to those? Like, you listen to podcasts a lot?
Yeah.
Occasionally. You know, you can get an iHeart account, iHeart Radio.
Yeah.
You can do that too.
Yeah, can you give me the information on that?
You know what? We set one up years ago. I didn't do it. My Chris did it, and I think you just go to find iHeart's got to have a site. I know he had to put in a proposal. He had to put the show information, and then they had to vet it out. Now they may not do that now, but we waited a while until they approved us. But now I know they're doing podcasts all over the place with everything, so I don't think they'll have too much of a problem.
It's real strong right now, podcasts.
Right.
Do like the audio version of this show, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, because even if you do like we're trying to record our Zoom meetings, and they'll send me a transcript and the audio portion as well as the video. So, you know, like with this, you can just get the audio portion, and then you just upload it to iHeartRadio.
Yeah, I do get it. I have it.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, I listen to podcasts stuff all the time on Spotify.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Get my back.
Are you talking about having it on there live as we do it, or
no
upload it later?
Yeah, the next day, or I guess.
Yeah, I know. I've listened to some podcasts on, I think it's iTunes or something through the iPhone, and then I have Spotify on my phone too.
Well, I already have it on iTunes. So if you go to Plan and Traffic on iTunes, it'll come up. It has some of the older shows, but I have a lady that's probably going to start taking over that part of it, and she'll be posting all that stuff. And a shorter video version will be on a system that we're working on too.
Mhm.
So you can go watch replays. It'd be like an hour instead of the
like
three.
it was supposed to be originally.
Yeah.
instead of the 3-hour marathon.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
must be weird to have it be an hour long.
Yeah.
One day I was going to the bathroom and I looked over like, those guys are still on.
I think the one went like 5 hours.
You see now, if you would have tuned back in on that night, because you would have been, then you would have got some good food talk. You would have gotten everybody jonesing, like who's making tostitas and
Oh,
tostadas.
yeah.
We're making burritos and we're making quesadillas and who wants,
Like a straight up Iron Chef.
You know what
Right.
I should do is go back on all of them and do an after show podcast and just put that on.
Woo-wee.
You guys talking whatever you talk about.
It ranges. It certainly does range.
Yeah.
It becomes more just like a phone call between like 3 or 4 guys. It's just that's what it becomes. It's just
Yep.
'cause we're
Hanging
just
out in the garage.
bullshitting. Yeah.
Yep.
But there is content. I mean, there definitely is content because I know when I was doing stuff when I brought I made that little I did a little show tribute for Chassis John. I just went back to some of the shows that we were late. I just went right to the end. The problem was I had to download the whole damn thing through YouTube. It was like the 3-hour download. It took a bit to download. It was a big file.
This show?
Yeah.
Oh, you should have called me. I got it all. I would have sent it to you.
Yeah, well, I just downloaded, but then I had to go all the way to the back. I'm clipping 3 minutes out of a 3-hour. But that's how I got all those clips for the tribute that we did because I knew where it was. It was at the end of the show, and that was when we were getting to the nitty gritty of things, But and that was we always talk about chemistry, and we do pretty good now, but. John had a way of poking Brian with the food stuff, and Brian's reactions were just priceless. So of course, I jumped right in with John. I'm like, "All right, buddy, I'm with you." Without saying it, we just double team him and just do it.
Yeah, and then of course, Ray's getting pictures of me making sandwiches at 3 o'clock in the morning, or 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
Every
time.
The only good part, or the only part about not having that as much, I've lost 10 pounds. I'm not eating at 1 o'clock in the morning.
And then usually the next day, I'd be showing my wife that, hey, look at this, look what Brian said. Look at that, look, this is what happened after last night's show. She goes, what is that? It's like that's ham and cheese in the toaster oven.
Ham and cheese.
Hell yeah.
The best is he got busted for it too.
I know. There was were you cooking something last night? No, I wasn't cooking anything.
No, not me.
Well, hey, if you guys have any ideas, let me know because I'm gonna fire up the Pinterest, or not the Pinterest, the Patreon site as well because I'm getting people asking me about the Patreon site.
Oh, good. Yeah, do that.
So give me some ideas of what kind of things we can do for the Patreon subscribers. You know what I mean? Maybe some kind of contest or gifts or
some swag.
You know what I mean? Or whatever, whatever you could think of. Maybe
what's behind Brian's chair?
I know.
Just reach back and grab something, and it raffle it off.
Well, I know a guy that has a ton of Hot Wheels.
I got 1970 gun oil.
Yep. That's the guy.
Right.
Yeah. So if you guys have any ideas, let me know, man. Because this year I want to try to do much as possible, and because I got some companies that are ready to do some stuff too.
We all got stuff.
We all got stuff hanging there. Yep.
All right. Think about it. Let me know.
Yeah, Lewis.
Later, Lewis.
Hey, you guys have a good week. Stay safe.
Happy New Year.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
How do I get off this thing?
Nice.
How do you get off this? It's one hell of a ride. You don't want to get off, man.
Nope.
My trouble is I might have to figure out what some of these things you all are talking about because I don't do any of the iPod, iDisc, whatever. This is the only talking program I do. And
all that is, Papa Squirrel, is taking the audio section of the show and it goes on another service where it's like a radio station where you can go in. It's like a jukebox, pretty much, where you can say, all right, I want to hear Plane and Traffic from January 5th, and you just play it. You can pause it and play it and listen to it as you do it going about your business or driving or whatever. That's really all it is. So if you're gonna watch it, if you're here live, you don't need the podcast. You know, it's for people who don't get to see and hear the show live.
That's how I listen to my missed episodes of Motormouth Radio.
Oh,
on
okay.
Spotify.
Okay, yeah, we put them up on Spotify. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. Yeah. Mark Warman this week. It's back to Mopar Mouth Radio.
All right.
Be talking with the master of Mopars, and it's always fun.
But we actually were just talking about. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
We were just talking about him today.
Were you?
We got the '69 Charger in our shop.
Oh, what his car? One of his cars?
No, one of our a new project.
Oh,
we're
your
working
car?
on.
Yeah, the one you got in,
Yeah.
right?
But we were talking about Mark and.
You were saying that's going to be a quick. That's not going to be a full blown resto, right?
Not yet.
Okay.
He's got a budget. We're going to do.
What's on the plan? What does it need?
Metal work right now. Needs a trunk floor. Needs some rails, quarters up around the back window. It's a vinyl top car, so
it is a B-body Mopar, yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna do the metal work, and he's gonna take it back, sit on it for a bit, save up some money. We'll come back and we'll keep going on it.
Right. Is it a big block car or a small
Yep.
block? Okay. Good.
And surprisingly complete, which is pretty cool.
Oh, that's nice. That's good. Hey, that exhaust system you guys banged out the other day was pretty cool too. That was a nice quickie.
Oh, on the Mustang, yeah.
Yeah,
that
very
was
nice.
That was a direct fit. It fit directly after I made it fit.
Yeah,
But
right. After the torch came out.
yeah,
I like that terminology, direct fit, and it's amazing how much you have to tweak and massage to make that stuff fit.
Oh
Yeah.
God. That's
All
what I've
the
always
time.
wondered about. Why can't they just build a shit that fits? I mean, you talk about all this machinery they have. What's their tolerances? An inch?
that's on a good day.
Yeah.
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 We got a 70 Chevelle in the shop right now that we're doing a rear trunk floor on. And the two rear body bolts on the one side was a half inch shorter than on the other side.
Wow.
We actually had to cut the brace apart, everything to get the body bolts to line up.
Wow.
And just a half inch.
On the 71 we did, now that went through the body shop, and pretty much every piece of metal on that car was changed except the roof and the sail panels. Even some of the hard panels inside would change. I mean, that thing it needed everything. And they did it in the body shop, so it came out nice. But when I got it and I had to put the gas tank in it, of course it was a Repro gas tank. I had that thing on the tranny jack, and I was almost shoving it through the trunk floor to be able to get the straps on. I was like, dude, something is wrong here. It just
We've got a 66 Chevelle that's in the body shop right now. It should be seeing paint probably within the next couple weeks. It's getting pretty close. But that car, I want to say every panel on this thing is aftermarket.
Yeah.
And you're cutting everything, moving everything, welding holes, re-drilling holes. It's aftermarket parts are a mess.
There's no guarantee, and it seems like the tolerance stack up gets pretty intense. And now I found out that the Chevelle is going to come back one of these days when he drags out the garage because he's got a fuel leak in the back somewhere. And I'm like, all right, the tank is new, all the lines are new. Like, okay, so we got to find out, what the hell happened. Is it because he drove it a little bit? Maybe it rubbed or something. I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to figure that one out.
Check the filler hose to start off with.
Well, it's got that one had the Chevys have the metal line, the metal. It's not a hose; it's the metal fill tube that's part of the tank, and it comes out through the license plate.
The license plate.
Okay.
So that's all one piece.
We had one a couple years ago that was like that, a brand new tank as well, and where that was seamed around there was leaking.
Anything's
hairline
possible.
crack.
Yeah, anything's possible. Yeah. Gotta start doing some forensics. But yeah, Brian, I found something I'm gonna scan and send to you out of a Motor Trend article, out of Motor Trend.
Yep.
Right, this was on the 928. They did of course, with that funky cool interior.
Yep.
But and then in the same article, they had an ad in the back for more space than you expect in a sports car. Right.
Yep.
The 924.
924.
And the article talks all about since it was from like 77, or
Yeah.
they talk all about how controversial the car is with the front engine and rear end. Like of course, all the Porsche guys were saying it's blasphemy. They say that all the time over anything.
Yeah.
They change like, no, my God, the
Yeah,
motorcycle.
water cooled. It was water cooled V8 up front. Oh my God, that was like the end of the world.
Right.
So they were all crazy.
It makes me want to buy one. It really does.
We got one that comes up to the show and it's got an LS in it.
Oh wow.
I believe that's what we just put an LS in one of those.
In a 928
or 924.
I mean, it's real jelly bean looking. It had that, the headlights laid flat, looking straight up. That was kind of
Yeah,
weird.
we have a 944 with an LS in it too.
I always liked the 44s. I like the design.
Yeah.
A lot of people did, and I do.
Yeah.
This one had the weird, like, pointing up to the sky headlights.
The one that look like frog eyeballs when they pop up.
Yeah.
Yeah, right here. They sit straight up.
928.
Yeah.
I don't think they have a picture of them with the headlights up. No.
Although didn't the 968, is it the 968? The
968 had the same headlights.
That's what I thought.
The 968 had the same headlights. Those were they had the same, they were flat and they popped up like that.
The Porsche expert.
Yeah. Nothing but Porsche expert. Yeah.
We have a guy that's like that with Chevelles at the shop.
Yeah.
Awesome guy, but like he got off on a tangent today for probably 45 minutes about various differences between years of Chevelles. It was awesome. I told him I need to pull up a chair and you can go up to the whiteboard and we'll start writing notes down.
Yeah, it was funny. I had one of my shops. The guy goes, you know something about Mustangs, right? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, man, this guy gave me one. He gave me a 65 coupe.
Oh,
and it's all complete, And I was like, oh, okay. So as soon as we turned the corner to go into the shop, I said, that's a 66. And he's like, no, it's not. It's a 65. And I was like, no. First of all, the grill is this. It has backup lights, this, and then he's like, how do you know all this stuff? So then he got really upset because I got I took his VIN and started decoding it for him, tell him. And he's like, you don't even have a book in front of you. And I said, trust me, it's a 66. But I will admit, it was a 6-cylinder car. But it had been sitting for the last 40 years.
Wow.
It's been sitting for almost 40 years. I cannot believe how complete this car was. I mean, it wasn't missing any trim, none of the knobs.
Wait. It is a Ford. We'll give it that. But
Yeah.
parts don't usually fall off just because it sits.
Yeah,
Even though it is a Ford.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm just saying. I mean, I could not get over how complete this car was.
Nobody screwed with it. Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know what I want. He goes, and of course, we opened up the trunk, and of course, like the front leaf spring perches are getting ready to come right through the floor. I mean, that's a common problem. Rusting out. I mean, it has some rust. And he's like, I'm thinking about putting a V8 in it. And I was like, well, you got to do a lot of work here, but it's easy. I mean, you can do that.
But it's everything.
But I said, dude, I can't get over how complete it still even has the plastic water bottle for the windshield washer. You know what I'm saying? And the hook, because usually all that stuff falls off and rots away.
I
And
thought
it's
they used
gone.
a bag on those cars.
Yeah, they used a plastic, like a hot water bag. You
Yeah,
know.
okay, good. Yeah.
You know, but I couldn't get over how complete that car was.
You know, did you talk to him maybe about just cleaning it up, get it running, and then even flip it as a survivor, and then buy
Well,
something?
you know, his whole thing is the guy gave it to him for free.
Yeah.
And so he's like, my wife always wanted a Mustang, so
good, give it to her.
Yeah, so I don't know. He's like,
is it an automatic or standard?
It's a 3-speed on stick.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I said, I couldn't even believe how, I mean, it even had the trim rings around the clutch pedal, you know, all that stuff. That stuff usually all disappears.
What about like the Sprint trim, the 200 Sprint trim?
Yeah, but it didn't have the Sprint trim.
Okay.
Because it didn't have the deluxe seat belts or any of that stuff. It was all standard.
It would have a chrome air cleaner. It would have
it would be a chrome. Yeah, this was
I learned all that from the Mustangs I worked on at the shop.
Yeah. No, but I couldn't get over how and pretty straight. I mean, the car was still pretty straight. I was really surprised.
It had something else chrome too. It had the air cleaner and something else.
It had an air cleaner, and then it had a cap for like the brake fluid was chrome.
Really?
And it had something else that was chrome.
Yeah.
The Sprint.
I'm almost willing to guess the oil filler. You know, the little thing on the...
Yeah, the oil filler thing. But it was clean. I told him, I said, dude, I can't get over because you know, like usually the headliner falls apart in them. And so all the little trim pieces for the headliner, actually, it was kind of funny.
I just realized both 66 Mustangs that I did work on were both convertibles.
Oh,
both
yeah?
6-cylinder convertibles, yeah. One was a Sprint, and then that last one wasn't. The one from last summer.
It was funny. Where did it get? Did I lose it again? Shit.
Good driving cars, even with the 6. They were both automatics. But it was, you know, fine just to putt around in. I mean, if it was somebody's wife, it'd be cool. You know, perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I already lost them. Damn it.
Some of them things are pretty good running too. We had what was it? Le Mans with the inline 6 in it.
The overhead,
one time.
The overhead cam 6?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was just a nice little running setup.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, you know, like I said, I was really surprised. The dash pad was in really good shape. It had
inside, you know.
It had I told him because it even had even the air vent thing on the driver's side, the coffee can that has the vent door, even that worked. I was really surprised because usually they all rot and fall apart. I mean, you know, like I said, they fall apart, and they, you know, I told him that his cowl was rotted out. That was a big problem. I said the first time you wash the car, you'll fill up the interior.
You're gonna need my off-road snorkel kit.
Yeah, you're gonna need. Yeah, you're gonna need You're gonna need the Gordon's fisherman outfit.
That's funny.
But I was really surprised. So he had. So that was interesting, but it was funny when he was insisting that it was a 65.
Yeah. Well, that's what you learn when you know the nuances. You know, I've had plenty of people. It's the same thing. Send me pictures or articles. Hey, look, here's your car. Like, no, it's a 64.
Yeah.
You know, close, but
Close.
you know, it's a 64. So, you know,
Yeah.
for the people who don't know, they get close, but they don't know. It's no biggie. Hey, Brian, I brought something back from the shop the other day, and of course, it's now half of something.
Oh yeah, for you need,
yeah.
That's
Well,
for the
bottle.
Uh-huh.
Somebody crushed it
Oh,
Are they
you need a
available
bottle?
separately? Yeah, are they available separately?
Yeah.
Because I've seen, I was looking it up. I found the tool again, but they always have the can on it, and I didn't see anything with the can separate. I was like,
Yeah.
am I the only guy that has a broken can?
No. No. Yeah, broken can. But see, the new way is this way now.
Oh, different style. Okay.
It's the same thing, but now you have a tube.
Right. Oh,
Instead of
that's
having.
good. Instead of having because this has to pull suction through.
Yeah. And then you had to stick the pencil up in the, or when you fill it up with grease, you got to get the air out.
Right.
In the bottle. And now that wasn't even planned. And how can you pull that? And I right here, Ray.
Are we in simpatico tonight or what?
Well, I'm telling you, I'll give you a run. Well, I can't do that, but between the only thing I have is between my
there we go. Yeah.
This is close enough smelling like an old military
Zoom stuff.
The Zoom, and I really like the stuff your guys sent me.
Trizoil, yeah, I use that a lot, man. That's great stuff.
That stuff is really good. I've used it. I've even used it just in Impacts himself on. Yeah, I've taken and put a little drop on the rear bearings. Little ball bearings and so forth. I like to know what the rake. I mean, what is that? What would that be called? The
viscosity.
Yeah, well, how long it stays on, if it actually, the absorption rate or the penetration, how long it stays lubricated. I don't know if that's in my Bosch book.
Yeah, I don't know if it says it on here.
But like I said, your can's the old style. This is new and improved, Ray.
Yeah, I see that. That's nice. Okay, so maybe I should just trash this one and get one of the new ones.
But I have a couple of the cans. I mean, like I said, I
like that new style, though. That's good because this one was a pain in the ass.
Yeah, this is, like I said, you just kind of you just had to squeeze the tube a little bit. Then you, like I said, you just load it up.
Do you guys actually use them?
Huh?
Do you guys actually use them for their tools?
I have a few. I actually have a few guys that get a little overly excited with the grease, and they they start having problems because there's too much grease.
Yeah.
And then I do have some guys that swear that disc brake grease is the best thing to cram in your Impact.
Really?
And I keep saying it doesn't get hot enough to melt, and it just becomes one big glob of mess.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that. I overdid it one year. One summer I was out in the garage. I just sat there. I just took every ratchet one by one, took them apart, cleaned them, and I used a little bit of the red lithium grease. Not lithium, the sticky stuff. And man, it was fine until the weather changed. When it got cold, those ratchets were just useless. They don't have to come apart again.
This is something synthetic blend hoppers number 9.
Hoppies?
Yeah.
That's gun. Yeah, it's gun.
Yeah. This stuff is really good too.
Oh yeah.
Hops number 9 is what you use to clean your weapons up.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a full pile of that stuff somewhere.
Yeah, I like that stuff too.
Yeah.
My wife says
it's
that
good. You put a little behind the ears. It's good for like an aftershave.
That's probably the closest stuff smelling like your 45 stuff. Your oil there.
Right.
Yeah. My wife says that they ought to make a men's cologne after hops.
Funny you say that. Yeah. My daughter bought. It might have been a Goof can. She found this candle company. It's called like the Stinky Candle Company.
Yep.
So she bought these weird. She got me one that's gasoline smell.
Yep. I got one that's burning rubber, and
I couldn't use that. I said, but gasoline, I'll go with that. Yeah.
That doesn't sound weird at all.
No. I said that's cool. They have like clutch material. Like. Yo,
This one smells like burnt transmission fluid.
Oxyacetylene, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
You know, something neat. So yeah, I gotta say, I haven't burned it yet.
The gear oil candle, that one might be.
Yeah,
a
yeah,
little
the
off.
90 weight candle.
The
that'd be-
burnt-
Yeah.
Here's gunpowder.
Oh,
this one,
cool.
this one is gunpowder.
You should light that thing up and see what it feels. Well, light that thing up. We don't know. I don't want to.
No. I mean, it's
Outside.
gunpowder, and I have one that's burning rubber, and
That I couldn't take. I can only take the smell of burning rubber when it's coming off the tires in the car.
Oh,
Like
it's
when back when I had a burnout, like control arm bushings and all. Oh, that when rubber is literally burning.
No, it doesn't smell like that. It smells like tires. It smells.
That's good.
Comes
That's good.
right off the
it's
tires,
kind of
right,
kind of
right
weird.
into the car,
Right.
off just the one wheel, not the other one.
Yeah, one
At least
wheel.
in my
feel.
case. At least in my case,
Right.
for now.
Yeah.
And then we had one. The one that drove me really crazy was chocolate, Hershey's chocolate.
Uh-huh.
Oh, God.
And I want to tell you something, dude. That candle, that one didn't last very long. I couldn't. That made me so hungry.
Yeah.
It
I
was
could
pretty
see
bad.
that. Well, yeah. Then, all I can do is make like a bacon candle.
Yeah, it was terrible. So, Ray, do you do any more with your headlights?
No, but what I did, I'm kind of. Hang on.
I know that you said you found that one. That's the same one this one is. No. Where did it go?
It's there somewhere.
He finds things easier in his shop than I do.
Oh yeah.
My grandpa was like that. There's just a ton of stuff around the shop, but this one specific thing, and he knew exactly where it was.
I thought about it after the show, and then that night when I was going to sleep, I'm like, wait a minute. In the garage, in the box, up on the shelf, I have that. It's a motorcycle. It's still in the original box, and it is the exact light that you have.
Yeah.
It says motorcycle on it, and it's got the removable halogen bulb. I don't know where you're getting those bulbs that are so high watt, though, man. Where were you getting those like 80 and 100 watt bulbs?
That same company, a Candle Power or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing.
I had 55, 60s. I think I had one that was like a 60, 80.
Yeah, this, like I said, the ones that are in the tool truck right now are 8120s.
Yeah, that's great.
That's awesome, dude. went out after the show, went out, flipped the top up, popped the ends, and threw the bulbs in.
Yeah.
So my daylight. So of course now the daylight running lights are like probably instead of at they were half of the other, so they're 20, so they're like probably 45. They're like regular headlight. It looks like I have my headlights on all day now.
See, the only problem what I did is I also dug up. Let me see. I'm using my new lights. I dug up a headlight bucket with the trim ring with the hard to find screws. This light has these weird which I want to see how it's going to line up in the light.
You have to look, the one that I have here, this one right here.
I have found that these screws are like unobtainium if you need to find them. And these headlight rings, the stainless rings, are also, they repro them, but to find originals are kind of hard.
Yeah, no, I have a whole bunch of the 5 1/4 or 5 7/8 or whatever these are.
5 3/4.
And the 8-inch ones. When I went to back in the day when I went into a junkyard, that's the stuff that I took off of cars all the time, and I have like the whole box full of them.
Yeah, these things are.
Yeah, the stainless steel.
Back in the days before they started searching your toolbox and that.
Right.
Yeah, well,
See,
of
this
course
light
not, Papa
doesn't-
Squirrel.
See, the light doesn't fit flush into the bucket.
Yeah, you just have to massage it a little bit.
I think you got to take those tits off. is what you
No, I modified the housing.
gotta-
Here,
yeah.
let me see if I can get this off.
I want to see if it's going to line up. Well, okay. Actually, all three of them do line up with, but that's as close as it comes.
Yeah, they do line up. I just had to massage a little bit because this is actually. Let me see. Let me get. I don't know if.
Well, you'd have to make the slot in the bucket wider, is what you'd have to do. Because the ring, actually, you know what? The ring will fit.
Yeah,
No.
it will fit.
That ring fits.
Yeah,
It goes all the way on.
Yeah,
it does.
Look
Okay.
at that.
Yeah. Here on the Headlight Show.
Here on the headlight. If I had my battery charger, I should, because these are yellow. The ones I have in it are yellow.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah. I have a yellow bulb that I had on the motorcycle. I got that out in the garage still. It was a yellow, I think yellow high beam.
And I learned that you had to, like I said, if you put them in upside down, the light, the cut on the light's different.
Oh yeah.
So you have it's like a cat's eye, whatever. So when you turn on the high, the light will light up on the bottom instead of the top.
Yeah. Because I do want to put. I mean, I have sealed beam halogens in my car now, and of course, I use the world's most dangerous screwdriver.
Yeah.
I have these everywhere, and just the other day I was doing something. Oh, I have one upstairs in a big coffee mug that I have pens in, and I was trying to take another one out, and that one kept picking up everything else. I was like, "Stay down, you! Behave yourself." That screwdriver, it cost me tools. It cost me grief. But I tell you, when I need it, that's like one of the best tools you could ever have in your life. Is that screwdriver?
Is that pocket pry bar?
Yeah, I haven't found the groove for the pocket pry bars yet. I haven't gotten the. But we'll see. Maybe I will. I don't know. But yeah, so I have seal beam halogens in the car now, and I was, I have headlight relays in the car already, so I was always thinking about going to a, swappable light, because this way you could put in a higher, higher wattage.
Yeah. I've got I really want to put them in. I wanted to put them in my old tool truck and never did, but I have a set of rectangular, they're CB fog lights or driving lights.
Yeah.
And they have H2s or H1s bulbs in them.
Well, they just predate the H4s?
Well, they are a smaller bulb than the H4s.
Okay.
H3 or H.
Well, I guess on a fog light it would be, yeah.
But what these these, you know how like it's upstairs on the pool table. Like if you bought a set of fog lights today, they're just square lights,
right?
It would just be a square rectangle light. Well, they're chrome. The base is chrome glass front, but it actually has a hood, a chrome hood.
Oh yeah, okay.
That is on top.
Uh-huh.
And of course, I'm paranoid if I do put them on the truck that a stone chip, because like I said, these things they've got to be at least 30 years, if not older.
Can you put them behind the grill?
Not on the tool truck. That's the problem. Actually, they fit, like if you look like on the front bumper where it bolts to the frame rails, there's actually a square block that's open there, and they fit right in there. I mean, they fit right into the.
This is the problem I found too, where I have stuff that I used in the past and saved, or I bought it and saved it because it was so good, and now I'm afraid to use it because I don't want to destroy it. So it's like, so what was the sense? So I got these really cool things that I can't use. You know, I got a lot of those things actually.
So, like on the Scout, I had the chicken wire. I mean, I had. Oh, let me see.
Over the headlights, yeah.
Over the headlights.
Uh-huh.
Now I have a set of square ones also for those CBs, but I don't know if it really fits in with the tool truck look. You know what I'm saying?
Make your own look, man. You're breaking new ground here. You're gonna define what looks right on the truck. Nobody else.
This is fun. I took this picture. This was a couple weeks ago.
Through the area rep.
But if you see the puppy.
Oh yeah,
he was hiding under the Scout, waiting for the rabbit.
Oh,
that's what he was doing. Right, that's my Golden, and he was underneath the truck, and he hides behind it because beside it is where the Audi is, and the rabbit comes out, and he gets that's where he gets or the groundhog.
You know, the guy whose house I was at that has the vet also has a 66 Mustang convertible that's all restored. So in a spa that needed a rebuild. But he's got a golden doodle.
Oh yeah.
That is the nicest. I haven't heard the dog bark yet. It is the nicest dog. It's so fluffy. It looks like shepherd's pie. It's got that real fluffy white fur and super soft. The dog likes to stand up on you. And nicest dog in the world, and it hasn't barked yet. Anytime I've been at the house. So
yeah,
what a sweetheart of a dog. So how deep of a hibernation is that Scout in? Pretty deep, huh?
Yeah, just as long as the Mustang has been. 30 years.
But outside.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, it's been outside the last 3. It used to be under the deck. It was pretty protected. I mean, covered. I mean, but it's I don't know. It's been a while since it's been at least.
It's a shame.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Like the Nomad that I have sitting outside my house. That was last on the road in '85.
Yeah, it was. It had to been 15, maybe a little less. The last time I drove the Scout around the backyard.
Yeah.
I used to start it up and drive it around. I had to move it because I was cutting the grass.
Yeah.
For the first 10 years that it sat in the backyard, I used to drive it around in the backyard all the time.
You should have figured out a way just to put a mower blade on the bottom of it. So let me ask you this: what led to you parking it in the first place?
Actually, it was nothing. It was just one of those. It was one of those things where it came here and I didn't have tags on it, so I only drove it around in the backyard, and it was just one of those things where it just became less and less driving it, or doing it, and I kept saying,
"What were you driving in this place?"
Yeah. It just got.
Well, I'm saying you were driving it at a time. So what did you drive in its place that made you not drive that? What replaced it in your life? The '89 Mustang?
No. The '89. No, it was the Audi.
Okay.
I had 2 Audis. I picked up. I had a 4000. I had my 4000 Quattro sedan, the 4-door, and then I had another Audi 4000, but it was only a 2-wheel drive car, and I picked that one up for that was a diesel. I picked that one up for $75 and I started driving that. And I drove that for 5 or 6 years until the compressor, the AC compressor, caught on fire. I was at Dover. I was at the Delaware race. I mean, in the races, at the NASCAR race, and it was, the August race. It was 500 degrees outside. You're hot. You've been sitting at the track all day. Came out and that it was the ugliest Audi that I had. It was multicolored. The wife wouldn't even drive in the car because it was so ugly, and it was a diesel, and but it would literally throw ice cubes at you. That's how cold the compressor was. And it was funny. I'm coming back from Delaware. I'm coming back from the race, and these cars are going by me, and they're pointing and laughing
yep.
And I'm like, yeah, F you. It's such an ugly car, And then I realized that the compressor was on fire. And
why is that? Because now flames started coming out of the vents instead of ice?
No flames, but I started smelling the rubber. I mean the belt, the V belt burning, and so the diesel motors had this. It was like a bulletproof timing chain cover that was the size of the whole motor, and they used to break the tabs and rattle. And of course, what did I do? I just unhooked it and took it out, so my timing belt was exposed.
Ooh.
And
good.
So when the compressor caught on fire and the belt melted and it went into the timing belt.
Nice.
And so the car jumped timing. And so once I realized it was on fire, I pulled off, and I didn't turn the car off because the car was still running. I knew as long as the car was running, it would stay running, even though it had jumped and it had already lost it lost 2 cylinders. It was only running on 2 cylinders because it bent some valves. But I knew I'd never be able to get it started again. And I was still in Delaware, and I had a long walk. So I couldn't open the hood. So I put the fire out by throwing dirt and everything underneath, and I had a water bottle. And so I just decided to start driving, and I got home, but the engine was cherry red because the water pump had stopped turning somewhere along the way.
That's a testament.
Yeah, it was a hell. I tell you, I come home and it sounded like if you took a coffee can and put 3 quarters and a lug nut and rattled. That's what the motor sounded like coming home all the way.
How many miles was it to get home?
Well, it was from Delaware. What is that? It was hour and a half, 2.5 hours, 3 hours.
Wow.
3 hours driving.
Could be almost 200 miles.
Yeah. So
$75 he's ever spent.
Yeah.
Hey, I tell you one thing. So of course I come home and the wife hears this in the car. And I tried to blow it up because I was now dead revving the car once it was in the driveway, and she's like, what the hell? And I said, the timing. I said, jump timing. And she said, well, why did you drive it? I said, were you going to come get me in Delaware? And she said, no. So I was like, that's why I drove it. I mean, I had a really good buddy of mine to tell me, don't turn it off, let it coast, because it's less we have to walk.
Yeah.
When we were always out in the hot rod and we threw a drive shaft or whatever, we just let it coast as far as it went because that was less we had to walk. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I figured, see how far I got. But it was funny because I
Good.
I parked it out front by the tree because I knew it was done. And when I turned it off, you can automatically hear the expansion. Literally, because I got the hood open and when it was still running, and the block was so red, you could see the piston moving up and down. That's how red. I mean, that's how red the block was, and everything was melted and burnt. And so when I turned it off, you could for hours. All you heard was just the crackling and creaking.
So since you left it out by the tree, did the garbage men take it when they came by?
Yeah, I had a guy come and tow it away.
It was something because I had an Audi 5000, and my wife and I were finally getting away for a weekend. We had my mother watching my daughter. She was little, and it was in the summer. I'm driving through the Bronx because I got to get up to go upstate, so I got to get over the bridge, and of course I'm noticing the AC wasn't as cold, and I finally pull over and I look, and I lost the alternator belt. I'm like, oh no! Again, so I didn't shut it off. I'm in the Bronx. I said, okay. The guy who worked with my brother, Lenny, he's still at Audi Master Tech. I said, I know Lenny lives in the Bronx. And I'd been to his house. So I said, if I could get to where he lives, and this is before cell phones, find a phone and call him at work and ask him to bring parts home, we'll have a layover. So I do that. But first I stopped. I was going to try and fix it myself. So I stopped. I didn't have any tools with me. So I had to stop, go to like some Strauss store or something. And I had to buy this cheap set of like these stacked, metric wrenches. They're like double open. And then it came in a little holder because they stack like a pyramid. I still have them. I have them in my Fiat to this day. They were just like Mastercraft or something.
Yeah.
And I bought a belt at the parts store.
The belt in the car. I mean, they should have had a spare belt and the toolkit in the car.
No, and of course I bought the car from an Audi mechanic, so that's why didn't have anything. So on the side of the road now, I try and loosen the alternator. I remember it had some weirdo adjusting mechanism on it.
It had a bolt with a little
long bolt, right?
Yeah.
Well, that was frozen solid.
Yeah.
So forget it. Nothing I had was taking that off. So I called Lenny and I told him what was going on. He's like, where are you? I said, I'm like a block from your house. He goes, well, get the car to my house. He was in an apartment. Put it around the back. And he said, I'll bring an adjuster and a belt. I'll bring an alternator in case you need it. I'll bring all that stuff home. I'm like, okay. So now we had to wait like 2 or 3 hours before he got home. And now I'm out there and the sun's going down. We didn't leave. We didn't get back on the road. It was dark already, I was like, what a way to start a weekend away, freaking out. But actually what I did, that's what I did to get from where I was stuck to his house. I tried the old Urban Legend. I went into the bodega and I bought a pair of legs pantyhose and I wrapped them around and made a belt out of them. And it actually did spin the alternator.
Yeah.
It did. It wasn't perfect, but it did work for a limited amount of time.
Yeah, that's they had a crazy because that was the problem with the 4000 with the 5-cylinder in it because like the AC belt was off to the side, so like if that wasn't turning, then the alternator wasn't turning, because the way they never one went off another component instead of off the crank.
Right.
So that's why like I knew I was okay for a while, but like I said, once the belt caught on fire and melted and took out, then that's when the water pump stopped. Because I like on the 5-cylinder one, the water pump drove off of the alternator.
My car was a 5-cylinder too, and it also had that hydraulic pump in it.
Yeah, for the power steering or whatever.
Yeah,
and it was crazy because you had 4 different components, and 2 of the components are being driven like off of one. So if the other component's not turning, that won't turn.
Right.
And yeah, I tell you that. But like I said, that one was a 4-cylinder diesel, and that was a great motor. I got to the point with that thing. I was burning everything and anything in that thing for fuel. I mean, waste oil, transmission fluid. I do a trans service, and man, 5 quarts of that or 8 quarts of it would go through. I burnt so much stuff through that.
Speaking of that, just the other day, that fellow I was working with the Corvette and the Mustang, one of the stops we made was we had to pick up his car from a shop that he uses because he had an inspection done and an oil change and whatever. So I meet the owner and we're talking, and the owner's actually handing the business off to his son. Lock, stock, and barrel, everything in the place. He's giving him everything.
Yeah.
And he was saying, he's got a waste oil heater in there. I saw it up on the ceiling. So my buddy was telling me later, he's looking at the bill. He says, wow, he actually charged me a waste oil disposal fee. I said, that's pretty interesting, because I said, did you notice he has a waste oil heater in his shop? I said, he's charging you to dispose of the oil that he's keeping and burning. That's
nice. Got some balls.
That's how you stay in business.
Yeah.
You do everything you can.
That's why there's an oil change special sign outside.
Yeah. What year was that Audi of yours again, Ryan?
Which one?
The one you were talking about.
That was 84. That was I'm sorry, that was a 83. That was 83 4000.
Okay.
4-door sedan. It was a diesel, and then my Quattro is a 87. It's basically the same body style. It's just the head. The diesel had 4 individual headlights, the square ones instead of the glass nose. And they're basically the same car, same body style.
Our Volkswagen Jetta diesel is 80. It's an 84 also.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great car.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. My dad and actually, Ray, now thinking about it, no, I didn't. I only drove that for a little bit because I had my brother's Volkswagen Fox station wagon. That's what took the place of the Scout, because the station wagon was like the pickup truck, dude. That little station wagon, I could cram everything and anything in, and that's what that's what happened. And then I got the 4000. That's what it was. My dad had an 89 Jetta turbo diesel. Ugliest color was cantaloupe brown with this beige interior. But I tell you one thing. Oh, it was hot, and it was like the material was like that GM velour. Fur, or what type of interior was that shit?
The crushed velvet.
The crushed velvet, but it was like this brown. Oh, it was a god ugly color, dude. But I tell you one thing though, that Jetta would scoot and book like you would not believe. That was a hell of a car. I surprised a lot of people in that turbo diesel. That was a great little car. It'd go. That was an 89. I can't remember what happened to that car.
Well, all I know about our Jetta is that my wife says, when we replace the engine next time, we ought to put a turbo on it.
Yeah.
I'd like to, but I'd have to change the heads out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, we had, and the only one that I wish I'd kept, my dad. We had a '79. We had a '79 Rabbit diesel, and that was a really great car. Unfortunately, it was only like 34 raw horsepower. I mean, it wasn't anything spectacular, but that was a great car. That was a good car. I learned to drive on that Rabbit. I took out well, when I went for my driver's license and I had to go through the little driving course, and we were there early in the morning, so they had all brand new little flags, all the flags that we had to go in and park in between. And my foot slipped off the clutch and I got nervous, and the Rabbit hopped through and wiped out the dudes, broke all of his flags, and he was upset. So he told me I failed, and I was so mad at myself but I took out the guy's new markers, all of them, took them all, broke them all. He was so mad.
Hey, that's what he got for putting new markers out there, because if they were old markers, you'd never have done it.
My dad couldn't believe. He said that Rabbit was just hopping because I'd slipped in the clutch and was in the wrong gear, and the Rabbit was just hopping, wiped out all the markers and cones. And the guy said, "That's it. Go over to the door. You failed." And I was so mad.
Hey Brian, which car was it that that you were talking about that the what was it? The AC compressor caught fire?
Yeah, that was my 4000 diesel Audi 83 or whatever. 83.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully I don't get froze up again. I was trying to clear out my computer cache, then I was trying to clear out my modem, but I was trying to listen to you guys on my phone.
Oh,
I'm catching bits and pieces as I'm banging stuff around in here. I had the hammer out to fix it just in case.
The hammer, that's what you needed.
Beating it with that shovel you needed to shovel the snow.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, Isaac. What are you doing with snow over there? You know what?
Well,
you can keep it.
So those pictures I sent are north of me.
Yeah.
So of course Flagstaff's way north, but if you look basically where our city is, just bordering the north of our city is the Catalina mountain range, and that's where Mount Lemmon is. That's where the one is where it looks like a frozen waterfall or whatever. So that is right here or close to here, but
so we all shared in the fun today, I say.
Yeah, I sent it to everybody.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I was watching an emergency and I was like falling off into these little naps. I'm like, oh, phone's going off. What the hell's going on here?
Yeah, it's their 51 anniversary.
Which anniversary?
Emergency. It's 51 years.
51 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're advertising here because they're doing us a big favor by showing the emergency TV movies, the ones that sucked.
That was last week. They're done here.
Oh, they're done here. They're starting that here.
Oh, we're in season 1 already again. We're like season 1, episode 9. You know, it's funny because I was following an emergency site on Instagram, and then like Randy Mantooth was there, always on it, and then he came out with a site. So I'm like, okay. I looked at him, so I followed him, and he's messaging me like, "Hey, like, where are you from? Like, how's everything going?" I'm like, "Well, I'm from New York." He's like, "Oh, good to hear." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, listen, I watch 3 hours a day." He's like, "Hey, excellent, thanks." I'm like, "Cool."
Guy has nothing to do. That's awesome.
So that's on Me TV or Cozy TV. You guys are watching that.
Cozy, where I am.
It's me. Cozy has both. I can watch it on both. Me and Cozy has it.
Okay.
But on Sundays, they're celebrating the 51 anniversary. So they're showing the made for TV movies.
They can keep them.
Yeah, I know. I was like, it's all right. They did that with they did that last month for Perry Mason.
Oh, okay.
They did the
Right.
Perry Mason TV movies, you know, the later ones.
You know, it really
in the
sucked. I mean,
80s.
they got some of the Rampart crew in there, but to have nobody else in it, use different music, it was like, ugh.
It was crazy. It was like a bad showing of what were those? What was those movie? Airport 77 or Airport 76?
Oh, yeah, those
Right.
You know,
You know-
Inferno,
Towering Inferno.
Tower Inferno 77 or whatever. I watch those movies and I laugh about how bad those
It's the
things
same
were.
thing, right? It could have been, emergency. You know what it was? That's called actors under contract. Let's make them do something.
Yeah, those
We're gonna make
that,
movies.
that when I saw the made for TV ones, that's what because they have one with them flying in a plane or whatever. And
Yeah, right. They're coming back from Seattle.
yeah, and
They
the
got back on the
crashes or
plane.
whatever. And I'm just like,
Yeah,
God,
and
this
of course,
is so bad.
all their equipment is in the luggage compartment, so they actually go down into the hold of the plane while it's flying, trying to find
Right.
their equipment. Like, really?
Yeah,
I don't know about that.
yeah.
Which-
I tell you,
Which channel was it? I think it was last week. Barney Miller came on. Was that Cozy or Me TV?
that was Cozy. I think. No. What is that? Oh, the one I showed you.
No, I think it was last week's show. Towards the end, we were talking, and then
Oh, that is FETV.
Oh, Effie. You know, I was
I
going to
don't know if
use
I have
I was
that.
going to use that as my show open, but I have these two CDs. It's TV theme songs. I bought them way
See,
back.
right now it's I
the
don't know
Barney
if I
Miller
can
theme isn't on it.
see. I don't know if
So
you
I
can
didn't
see.
have it.
Right now it's emergency.
Oh yeah, there you go. Beautiful. Going to a call. 365.
That's funny. What's this one? This one is
You get them late. We get them. Emergency here is on in the middle of the afternoon. It's in the afternoon.
this one is season 2, episode 18.
What's the name of the episode?
1970. SEANCE.
Seance.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when the woman is having a seance in a house for
Her deadly sister.
her dead sister.
Yeah.
And her husband keeps having little accidents, and she's blaming the sister.
Yeah.
They probably take her away to the loony bin because they respond to that house like 3 times.
So, and then let's see, 460. See, 460 is Cozy, and that's on earlier in the day, and then 23 is me. See, that's Perry Mason right now,
Yeah, here too it's Perry Mason.
and then we have Twilight, Alfred Hitchcock, and then Mannix,
Right, Mannix.
Cannon, and Barnaby Jones. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
It makes
That's
you want
late
to stay
night.
up all night. You know?
I know, man. It's terrible.
Well, I'll tell you something. Years ago, I was really sick. My system totally flipped on me, and day and night flipped. So I was up all night, and I slept during the day. It was the weirdest thing. So I'd be up all night watching, and I was watching like Seinfeld. I watched all of Seinfeld, and I was watching.
And then they have
all these crazy shows that were on overnight. I was like, wow, it's pretty.
And
cool.
then when I get up to run credit cards, I watch Highway Patrol.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
that's a funny one. I like
Roger
watching that one.
Crawford. Yeah.
That's a classic. Come on.
Now I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
An episode of Chips where they actually pull him over on the highway, and Ponch knows who he is, but John doesn't. And he's like, "Hey, you're the guy. You're the guy. Go on, say the line. Say the line." And he had what was his tagline? He used to say, "Damn." Anyway, Ponch made him say his patented line, and he did. He's like, "Hey, that's great." So John's like, "Yeah, listen, we'll still give him a ticket."
Yeah, I like.
They responded. Rosie Greer was in a Mini Cooper. Rosie Greer.
Wow.
Yeah,
and he was so pissed off. He ripped the door off the car. He started beating the shit out of the car, and they were going to write him up. I think Ponch wanted to write him up, and John says, "Hey, there's no law against like wrecking your own car."
Yeah.
Oh, he dismantled this thing on the side of the road.
Yeah, it's funny.
Then
And
emergency
then-
had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in a Jaguar. It's like his head was through the sunroof because he's like 8 feet tall. Yeah, they've had a lot of cool stars on those shows.
And we used to have Antenna TV was really good.
Oh, you don't have it anymore?
No, we don't have Antenna.
Yeah, we still
TV.
have that here. That's basically a lot of sitcom stuff.
Yeah, we used to have Antenna. And there's another one. I can't remember what it's called.
Do you guys have Grit?
Grit? No.
That's a channel we have. It has mostly westerns, but there's some of your other stuff that like
yeah,
me
we
and
have
Cozy
I have grit when I make pots of it on the stove. It's homemade grits.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Right.
that
Oh, okay,
that
yeah.
one on I watch usually on sometimes before even Ray's show because they had the westerns, a Wagon Train and Rawhide.
Rawhide.
That's the one. Well, I can watch Star Trek. I just can't watch all the Star Treks. You know what I'm saying?
I used to watch. You know what? I was watching them all straight through. I'd watch because they were on every day. I'd watch it every day. Which ones don't you like?
I don't like the newer ones.
Now wait, are you talking about the newer version or the newer episodes of the original
Well,
show?
like
You're talking about like Deep Space Nine and stuff like that.
yeah, and the Voyager.
Right. Yeah, I don't watch those either.
And Enterprise.
Yeah, I'm an original series guy.
I like Voyager because Janeway takes no shit off of nobody.
Okay.
You shoot at her and she just dashed her out of the sky and says, "Where's my coffee?"
Good enough
Yeah.
reason for me.
I had I had that problem. I mean, I had that problem with Star Wars.
Right.
I liked like the first 5.
Yeah.
I like
Oh,
the
I never
first
watched
5
anything past the first 4.
episodes or the first original 5 movies. You know what I'm saying? And even the 5th one gets a little hard for me to say. I won't watch, but watching any of the new one, and like I said, I wouldn't call myself a Star Wars nut, but I mean I really like it. I mean I like the whole thing, but I have a really hard time trying to watch any of the newer ones, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's just the I'm too old school about the original cast or whatever, but it's hard. It's hard for me to watch the newer movies or the newer versions.
The newer ones, there's something just different about it. Since Disney took it over, there's just something. I can sit and watch it, but it is different.
Yeah, like I said, what was that, Papa Squirrel?
I was going to say I'm worried about Disney because I like the not Daredevil. What the hell is he?
Marvel.
Deadpool. I like Deadpool.
Oh.
Well, Disney, is a family-friendly place.
Yeah.
You can't do things. So I'm wondering what they're going to do to Deadpool.
Well, they say they are.
Yeah.
There's a lot of woke stuff going on that ain't too family friendly.
Oh yeah, right.
But I see what you're saying. I agree with that, but my argument is, hey, there's a lot of other stuff that ain't family friendly that they're doing. So
yeah,
God, yes.
So yeah, no, yeah. I drive there because we come home and we'll watch nightly news and then we have to watch MASH. So
yeah.
Oh yeah, MASH.
I laugh. I tell you, I get laughing, and the wife just looks at me. She goes, "You know what's going to happen even before it happens."
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just like, it's just.
And you still laugh, right?
I still laugh.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm the same way.
The other night when Frank Burns took the tank for a ride, I was laughing. I was like, "This is the best part." And she's like, "Why?" I said, "Do you remember this?" And she goes, "You know, I was 6 when this was on, or what? You know, because there's what's the age difference? Well, we got 6 years difference between me and her." So it's funny when I say, she goes, "Do you know I was like 5 when this was on, or something like that?" You know,
you cradle Robin.
I know, I'm terrible.
It's funny because just last night, my wife came down here. She had to give me my eye drops on. So I said, "Whoa!" I was in the middle of doing. I said, "Oh, hut, King Tut." I said, "Your needle's in a rut. Take it easy." She's like, "What?" I'm like, just a line from a TV. So today,
that was from Batman.
No, Adam 12.
Adam 12.
It was the first episode that was on tonight. The guys roll up. There was a complaint at a house, and there was a man and a woman out there, and they showed that someone had laid out a swastika on their lawn with like lime, and across the street was this group of thugs, kids, and one of them was wearing like a monocle, and he had actually a stormtrooper jacket on, you know. So I called her in. I said, "What do I?" Because I knew now it was just the way it lined up. It was just like this. You couldn't have planned it.
Yeah.
Well, you could have, but I didn't. And I called her in, and just as Malloy starts talking to the head guy, he says, "Look, we could do this, one or two ways. Do it the easy way, the hard way." And Reed finds a sock that had glue in it. He goes, "Hey, well, who owns this? Whose was this?" He goes, "You guys were sniffing glue. What's going on?" And the Nazi guy says, "Hut, hut, King Tut." He goes, "Your needle's in a rut." I'm like, "That's where you got that from?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's an Adam 12." But the thing I never understood, and I still don't, is so he was trying to call Malloy off, saying it wasn't him, and just that was some random sock. But so what he does, he lifts his pants and they zoom in and shows he has like slippers on and no socks. So that was supposed to like make him think, well, they're not mine. But I'm thinking, well, that would implicate that it was yours.
Yeah, because you're not wearing.
You don't have socks.
Because you're not wearing socks, and Malloy stuffed the sock in his pocket, and it didn't go anywhere. So I'm like, that's a little inconsistency.
Yeah.
But that was the line, "Tut, tut, King Tut, your needle's in a rut." I'm going to clip that and use it on the show.
There you go.
I got to, because I wrote down the episode, so I got to take the DVD now, get the audio track off, and put it in the dischronificator and clip that 6-second clip.
Yeah, that's like I said.
I got another one I'm going to use too. It was from Emergency. It was Dr. Morton, who was not my favorite character. I think the guy was kind of arrogant, but he had there was a kid, they brought him in. I think he started a fire at his school. It was a black kid, and he was a little troubled, and he was very antagonistic and just wanted to fight everybody. And he was giving Bracken a hard time. He wouldn't let him treat him. So Morton comes in and he says, "Hey, let me see what I can do. Let me talk to him." So he starts talking jive to the kid. He's giving him the whole lingo. And the kid's like, he finally calms down a little bit. And Morton says to him, he's like, something like this, "Hey, listen, man." He goes, "You got to get your program in order, man. After all, this is the 70s. And I said, "That's another one. I'm going to clip that. I'm going to use that."
I remember that one.
Yeah.
Well, he had the attitude because he was fighting the system the whole time. He was a black man on a white show like that.
But he was a doctor. He had the respect of his colleagues. Nobody.
But he was fighting the system.
I don't know. I disagree. In the show, especially, nobody treated him derogatorily. They didn't treat him like an underling. Even when he screwed up, like today, he really screwed up. There was another guy comes in out of a van, and he's wearing like a long shirt. It's got fringe on it, and he's got a bunch of patches. He's wearing rose-colored glasses. He's a hippie. So my friend's in the van. So Morton and Dixie go out there and they're looking at their friend. And this is the guy who looks like Mel Shacker from Grand Funk, the bass player. Big head full of hair, and he's got the beard. Actually, he was on Adam 12. He was a drug addict that was in a drug house on Adam 12, too. He had that look, you know. And Morton looks at him in the van. You see, he's like lifting up his arm, looking on both arms, looking for needle marks, even though he didn't say it yet. And he says, "No, he OD'd. He OD'd." And the guy's like, "What? What are you talking about?" He goes, "Well, he obviously OD'd." And the guy's like, "No, man, we didn't do any drugs. We were just sitting out up by the canyon rapping, and and he just fell over." So they get him in the room, and Dixie's working with him, and he instructs the nurse, take his clothes off and check his toes and his elbows, check everywhere he might have shot up, check everywhere. And of course, the nurse says, "No, doctor, didn't find any marks." So, and the guy's out, he's out, he's comatose. So Morton is sure. He draws blood, sends it to the lab, and then Dixie says, she comes over with the kid. He goes, "Well, what are you doing?" She goes, "Well, I have a spinal tap kit." He goes, "Well, what do you got that for?" And she goes, "Well, because he's not, he's not, not cognizant or whatever. He's not awake, and that's usually the next step to see if there's a problem." He goes, No. He goes, "This guy OD'd. It's probably heroin and blah, blah, blah." Okay, so now Brackett comes in. What's the matter? So he runs it down, and Brackett's like, "Well, how do you know? Do you see? No, there's no marks." Right then, the blood work comes back, and they say, Dixie gets the call, and she goes, "No, blood work is negative. No drugs in the system." And you see Morton's face drop.
Yeah.
So now Brackett's working on him, and what does he do? He says, "Dixie, spinal tap." They do the spinal tap, and he looks at the fluid. He goes like, and Morton says, "Wow, it's clear." And Brackett's like, "Yeah." He goes, This wasn't drugs." It ends up Brackett starts inspecting him more, and he pulls his hair up, and there's a big red welt on his neck. And the guy was like bitten by a spider or something.
Yeah.
And so they call, of course, for the anti-venom kit and or whatever. So even when, when Morton so grossly overreacted and actually he apologized to the friend. He goes, "Hey, dude, I'm sorry." He goes, he says, I guess, I was a little prejudiced in my decision." And the other guy looks at him and says, "That's okay." He says, we're all prejudiced, just like in different ways. So it was like zing, he got him right back, And then Brackett went on to kind of ream him out later on, and be like, "Hey, listen, man, you got to really pay attention a little more and not judge people by what they look like. You got to look at the medical evidence." So, yeah, they treated him right. I just thought he was like, you watch the way he would treat people on the table, and I mean, I know they're all actors, but he would just kind of like flop them around and contort them. Where the other doctors always had a little more care and finesse. It was like, so he was never my favorite character. But that's my
Those
reaction.
aren't characters. Those are doctors.
And there probably are doctors like that.
When I was in the Air Force in San Antonio in the 70s, we had one doctor didn't give a shit about anybody. He got drafted. See, they don't talk about drafting doctors, and they did. He was. My daughter's over here.
Now we know where the voices were coming from earlier on.
Yeah, but he was just that type. He didn't care.
Yeah,
they threatened to take away half of his pay because that's all they can find you in the military. And he looked at him and said, "I can go downtown and make twice my yearly pay in one night," because he was a genius type doctor, extraordinarily smart.
Oh yeah, those are the worst.
Yes, they are.
Especially if they're self-preferred geniuses.
I prefer doctors that had to work a little bit.
I prefer anybody in any field that had to work and put in some sweat equity before they got their title. It seems to mean a little more at that point.
Well, I can tell you, I don't know if it's a lack of bedside manner, probably more so a sense of urgency, but there's nothing worse than you're sitting in the back of the ambulance and they tell you, "When you get this funny feeling, let us know because we're going to stop your heart."
Oh boy.
First thoughts through my mind were, you animals, you're supposed to be saving me, not killing me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes they have to stop it so they can get it back into the rhythm.
But that's what happened. My my heart rate shot way up, and
Tachycardia.
It shot way up, and then I guess it went into AFib. They stopped it 4 times, twice in the ambulance, twice in the ER, and the last time they stopped it, I felt, you know, when they talk about an out of
body experience.
Kind of like freezing on the screen.
Something like that. Froze up.
He's having an out of body.
He's having one now. Oh no! Quick,
I
bring him
lost him.
back. Get the paddles. Come on, 400 watt seconds.
Clear.
Be clear.
it.
You notice how everybody is so outwardly shocked when they actually zap the body. Everybody's like, "Oh my god!"
Well, for one thing, you do flop like a fish.
I believe that.
And the other thing is, you better be clear, because you don't, you can get your heart stopped.
Right.
Because a bed conducts the electricity sometimes.
Sure.
And,
That was, I remember the first time I got zapped by the ignition, and I had my hand on the fender of the car, and I touched I guess the plug wire or whatever, and it went up my arm. I did this. I did one of those like worm things. Whoa! Totally involuntary. I was like, whoa! And I was like, holy shit! What was that?
I
I
got one of those a while back with a tack. We were testing out. Yeah, I ended up being the ground for the tack.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we our bodies conduct real well. Water. Yeah, we conduct.
Hey, we're mostly salt water.
Well, that's why our fingers work so good on the phones.
Yeah, the conductivity.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy. I've been zapped a few times.
Yeah.
One time I was stick welding and I was aground on a stick weld.
Oh boy,
I tell you, man, that was that was not a good feeling, dude.
No,
boy, that was crazy.
Well, I've always wondered about these underwater welders, and I was watching a thing about it. The guy's talking about if you don't have a good ground, you will know it when you strike an arc, because you'll feel it.
Oh, I bet.
Damn. I thought, well, they can pay them whatever they want, because they'll never get me down there with a welding rod. Water and electricity.
We did a pretty good job today. We covered the whole gamut. We really
did.
We had a surprise with Dan and his living off the grid.
Yeah.
I still didn't get an answer. I wanted to know if he had to hit the snooze one more time.
Yeah.
I tried 3 times to get an answer out of him.
I know.
Could be worse. He could maybe not hear you.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah.
So Brian
had to bail me out.
The only thing we didn't cover is the 80s Matco boombox thing.
Yeah, you see that? And actually, it was funny that you did that, because the one that they're advertising.
Well, that was right off their Instagram page.
Yeah. Actually, this is kind of funny here.
I could see Justin walking around one of them.
This is
right.
This is the Dick Van Dyke Show. Episode.
Don't get me started on Laura Petrie. Oh boy.
This is episode 98, and it was filmed. It first aired in October of '64.
Wow.
And I don't know if you, but it's a Mustang.
Oh yeah, look at that. Nice.
And look how they have the jack stands holding on the bumpers.
On the bumper. That's brilliant.
Oh, yeah, look at that, huh?
Brilliant.
That was pretty interesting.
Good catch.
But let's see here. Let me go back over here to our page
Well, see, I was
because
slower than everybody else. I didn't get a boom box till about 80. See, when did I go
So-
overseas to Korea? 85.
so you know what the picture was that you sent me, right?
Yeah.
Well, they're starting to come in now,
Okay.
and this is what it's
Oh,
different.
it's different. Oh,
Yeah.
it is
Different.
different. Totally different.
So you know where this is going to go because the guy goes like my good buddy. How did you send me that?
It was through Instagram. I sent it to you and Justin on Instagram.
So my good buddy Ray would say, "Hey Brian, send me one of these."
Right. See,
And
that
I
one looks-
say,
I like that one. It looks better.
Yeah.
then I would say, "Yeah, no problem," and I would send you what they sent me, and you say, "Hey, it's not the same."
That's not what I asked for. Right.
These here were last year's.
Does it have a cassette deck in it?
No.
Ah, that sucks.
When they came out, we came out with our electric guitar,
Mhm.
they came out with this because it plugs in. The electric guitar plugs into that.
Oh, okay. Uses an amp.
Yeah.
Nice.
Ah, okay. All right.
So, but this is the problem that I have with our marketing department because they're showing this one,
Right.
and the one that's coming is not that
Right.
that one.
In other
And they
words, what you
all-
see,
Yeah.
what
Huh?
you see is not what you get.
Right. And that's very
No,
hard
no.
to explain to a person because they want that. Why am I
Right.
spending the $500?
Right.
Because that's the one I want.
And I would prefer that one that I saw over the other one anyway. So tell them it's back tools. It's boombox ain't coming.
Yeah. I didn't order any.
So Isaac, you froze up on us in the middle of a great story.
Yeah.
You remember when you
So-
stopped?
Yeah,
Not your night.
stupid thing. No, it's not.
Did you not pay your cable bill?
No, it's paid off.
Who's your provider? We got to talk to them.
Xfinity
Infinity.
or
Damn.
Comcast. No, yeah, I remember where I was. The last time that they stopped my heart, and each time it went longer and longer. And that last time, what I was saying was, well, I was laying on the table. I started to sit up, like I could feel like almost like Velcro pulling away.
Right. You were talking about out of
And-
body experience, right?
Yeah, and then that's about the time my heart went back on, and I slammed back down. And at that point, I told the doctor, "Let's stop doing that because that hurts." And I was starting to go somewhere, and I said, "I'm not going anywhere. So we need to get something straight." They put me on a slow drip medication that gradually brought it down, and then about a day or two later, they came and talked to me about
My ring is lactate and MS.
they came and talked to me about getting my heart shocked.
Yeah.
And I said, as long as you knock me out and I don't remember it, fine. If you can't knock me out, I don't want to get out of. I'm like, it looks like it hurts. I don't want to try it.
Right.
I agree with you. I know what you're talking about on that.
I did have a good doctor though. The next day after they shocked me, I had like 3 heart doctors that were assigned to me, I guess. But one of them, she came down and she asked if I had any memory or if I felt it. And I said, no, why? And she said that when they zapped me, I sat straight up and went, oh shit, and then flopped back down. And I said, I have no memory of that. And then I guess when they were checking on the monitor and everything, and they said I got my rhythm back. I said, I got my rhythm back. I'm glad I got my rhythm back. I love my rhythm and blues. I got to have my rhythm.
Well, that's like I had no rhythm before. I couldn't dance before, so if I got it now, that's great.
Yeah. And then I guess I was waving at all the nurses while I was being wheeled out, but I have no recollection of any of that.
That's why when they used to do certain procedures on people that had security clearances,
Mm-hmm.
they had to come in and swear us in and make a monitor around so that they wouldn't say anything they weren't supposed to.
Right.
Yeah.
One time we were doing a procedure on one guy, and I don't know what his job was, but he said something, and the OSI agent that was with him said, "You don't need to remember any of this." And the doctor and I were looking at the OSI guy going, I wouldn't even know where to start remembering anything he was saying.
It's kind of like now where I guess I developed this habit of talking in my sleep sometimes. And my wife always reminds me of what I said the next day. She's like, what were you talking about? And like, sometimes I'm like, I don't know. It sounds really good though. I'm like, I wish I knew, because it sounds like it was a good dream. You know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I've been, we have a ceiling fan in the bedroom, and for about a year or so now, I'll wake up at night, my eyes just open, and it used to look to me like a little boy with overalls with his arms and legs out spinning around. That's what it looked like to me. And now I see all sorts of stuff. The other night it looked like Rasta braids hanging down. Like, I don't know what my imagination is. I've been Googling it, like ceiling fan apparitions. I can't find anything. Like, if it's, I don't know if it's just my brain or what.
You're going to have to write up the first article, Ray, and put it out there.
I'm seeing some weird stuff in that ceiling fan. And even like,
what medication are you taking before?
What are you having for a midnight snack?
Yeah,
I mean, that's
exactly.
Powerade. Yeah, no, I know. Oh, mushrooms. They count.
Mushrooms.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like even like to my right side is my wife's dresser, and there's a mirror. And the other night, I guess I woke up and I'm looking, and I thought I saw a whole nother room. I was seeing the image of my room in the mirror, but I thought it was like a whole nother room. Like, that was a new one.
Wow.
Oh man,
it's like Alice in Wonderland stuff.
I'm telling you. I have more adventures right in the bedroom. It's crazy.
And you're not even making dirty movies.
No.
Damn.
Go figure, right? I know. Nutty stuff. It shows you like what your brain can do when it's in sleep mode.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
They actually claim that's good because your brain is rearranging everything and sorting it out and
Sure
figuring
is.
out what to do with it. Sometimes
Yeah.
my brain sorts it out so well that I wake up looking around and I'm in a cold sweat. I'm just terrified.
I used to wake up like that. I would wake up and it was panic attacks.
Mm-hmm.
And it was weird. This is at one point in time, this only happened for a short period of time, but I would wake up and I didn't have my eyes open, but the thought that I had in my head was I had just taken my last breath.
Wow.
And now, like, what do you do? So you panic because now you want to take another breath, but you can't because you just took your last breath. And the only good thing is you wake up pretty fast because you're terrified. Cold sweat. You're just like, ah! Like, okay, it was a dream. But I was having that recurring fairly often. And then other things, like I had panic attacks at times where sometimes I get under a dash of a car, underneath the car, and I get claustrophobic. That never happened to me before. It ended up just only a couple of years ago, it got diagnosed. I went to a cardiologist and they had me on a stress test. And I remember telling her, I said, I've never done a stress test before. I always put it off. I said, and the problem is, I said, I have sciatica in my leg. It's been pretty good. I said, but if the sciatica flares, I said, my leg is going to go out. I said, and I'm not going to stay on this treadmill. I'm going to get, and I told this to everybody in the room. I said, I will be extricating myself from this treadmill the fastest way I can because I'm going to be in a lot of pain. I said, so I just want to let you know ahead of time. If you see me jumping off, that's what's going on. Okay. So we do did the sonogram, get my resting heart, did all of that before. I get up on the treadmill and I'm walking, and I've always been a walker. And they're inclining it, bringing it down. And finally I said to the cardiologist, I said, how long do I got to be on this thing? She goes, well, we got to get your heart up to like 120 beats per minute. I was like, well, when's that going to happen? I'm like, I'm getting tired of walking. I've been on, how long? You've been on this thing for like 25 minutes. She goes, you're doing really well. She goes, I'm like, well, great. But, she goes, all right, well, I'll get your heart rate up. So, of course, brings it up. I feel my heart rate come up. No problem. Shuts the machine down. She goes, okay, it's just going to run you back. So the girl was there to help me. And I let go of the handlebars. I just rode it's like when guys ride the machine, but they crash into the wall. It was already shut off. So I just rode it back and jumped off and they were all looking at me like, huh, are you okay? I'm like, no, I just went for a free ride. Come on, that was cool. Get back on the table. And now they're going to check my heart in the stress condition. And in the middle of that, I start having a panic attack. Like I have to sit up. I can't be laying down right now. I have to sit up. I need some water. It's all about like not being in control. So, now they want me to stay down because they're trying to get the information. Next thing I know, I hear beep, beep, buzz, buzz, boom. I hear a buzzer go off and everybody's scattered and doing something different. And like, girl leaves, she leaves the room. And then now they're okay to let me have some water and sit. And I said, what happened? What just went on? They said, you threw the red light. You threw the machine. Like it was like tachycardia. My heart rate really raced now because I was having a panic attack. They called 911 because that was like their standard, punch it out. So now I'm sitting there and I calmed down. I was able to sit up. I was calm, drank some water, and test is over. They can't check the heart anymore. So put my shirt back on. I'm hanging out and, the cardiologist comes in. You okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I said, I told you I'd be all right once I could sit up. I said, I just had a moment here. And, I said, it happens sometimes. Sorry, didn't want to freak you out. So the police come in, they're interviewing me, asking me what's going on. Now the fire guys come in, EMS. The one guy, Brian, he was about your size. So he says, he goes, what happened? He goes, who are we here for? I'm like, you're here for me. He goes, what the hell's the matter with you? I'm like, well, I said, I had a little bit of an episode on the after, I did the test. Well, what test? I'm like, that thing, the stress test. He goes, oh man. He goes, you know what? He goes, they've been wanting me to take one of them for a while. He goes, he's a city fireman. And he said, and then he also works at the volunteer company out here. But he said, because of my age and my weight, I hit the red flags and I have to do the stress test now to see if I'm really fit for service, for duty, because he's a paid fireman. He says, I've been putting it off for a long time. I don't want to get on that thing. I said, I didn't want to either, but I kind of aced it. It really wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I said, I had a problem afterwards. So, of course, I just had to tell him I didn't want to go and, to the hospital and sign the thing and everything was cool. But on subsequent interviews, when I went back to her, and now she saw what happened, and I explained to her, I said, that's what I was telling you about, where I said I had some panic attacks at weird times, and I would wake up in the middle of the night with these and she's like, okay. She goes, I think what's happening is between the two major heart chambers, you're getting a little short circuit. And what's happening is it's shorting out, and because you make about 4 watts of electricity, and it's screwing with the heart timing, which now, it can trigger these attacks. I said, okay, well, what do we do about it? She goes, well, one of two things. She goes, I can put you on a medication. I'll give you a low dose, and we could always increase that a couple of steps, or we could do an ablation, like you were talking about, Isaac. Well, they go in through the thigh, they lace the thing up to the heart, and they'll zap the heart, and that apparently just, straightens it out. I said, let's start with the medication first.
Yeah, no, I don't.
So I started taking that stuff. I started taking it a couple of years ago, and you know what? I haven't had an issue since. I've been in positions where I said, okay, I should be freaking out right about now. And I didn't. I was like, this stuff basically regulated everything. And I said, so yeah, would you talk about having your heart zapped? Then I was thinking like, maybe I should just go in and have the ablation, have it zapped so I don't have to take the medication, because I'd like to pare some of that crap down. But this is what happens as we get older.
I don't like being stabbed in the little things coming into your body.
Yeah.
They're not good.
I'll tell you something. I had a liver biopsy.
Oh, no. No.
If you ever want, and you have to be awake. Now, luckily, I've gone through a lot of procedures in my life, and if I didn't know what they were. If I did, I would have never shown up for the appointment. Liver biopsy, they put you on a table, they bring you in and out of a CT scan, so they could actually get it. They got to get an exact, bearing on the liver, and they put like rulers. They put one of those rulers across your chest, up and down, and they bring you back and through again. They put a Sharpie mark on you, where they're going to go in, and again they run you through to make sure that's right. And then what the guy does is he gave me a shot in the chest of lidocaine. And if you've ever felt liquid mercury going through your veins, that's what lidocaine does. And I was like, whoa. I said, what did you put in me? He goes, it's lidocaine. I said, yeah, that wasn't so comfortable. He goes, don't worry, it'll take effect real fast. I said, well, I'm glad that's over. He goes, no, I just got to give you one more over here on this side. But the first one will already start taking effect, so you won't feel it. And he was right. So the lidocaine just numbs you. They could cut your chest off and you wouldn't know it. They could do field surgery on you. You wouldn't know it. So I said, well, man, why is it got to be so heavy? He goes, well, because you have to be awake when we do this, but you can't feel anything. I was like, okay. So then he goes and he inserted a tube in my chest that went down to the liver. And I remember I couldn't move, so I could only look down, like move my eyes down, and I saw this stainless steel tube sticking out of my chest. And I remember thinking, like, this must be what it would be like to be laying on the ground with a knife stuck out of you. This is exactly what it must look like, except you don't feel it. Well, and it ends up, the tube was only like the dipstick tube. That was the guide tube, because then through that they passed the tool where they actually do the biopsy with. And when he pulls the trigger, it snips just little cells out of the organ. It sounds like a like one of those lighters when you use like a barbecue lighter.
Yeah.
So you're doing like 6, 7, 8 of them, and you don't really feel it, but you do feel it by vibration, not by sense. And and then when it was over, and I said, boy, so I hope I never have to do this again. Like, man, so now I've told people, like, yeah, I've actually had a liver biopsy. Like, really? I'm like, yeah. So luckily I didn't know what it was, or else I probably wouldn't have done it.
My problem is working as an X-ray tech for about 11 years in the Air Force. I know what a lot of those exams entail.
Right.
And I don't want any of them. I don't want them.
I mean, in this case, at that point, the condition I was in, my liver had flipped. So that's when I was up at night and sleeping during the day, and I was itchy. I felt like I had ground glass on my neck. I was itchy around my midsection. My bilirubin numbers were going up. I was jaundiced. I was slowly dying and couldn't process any fat. It was, my liver was very, very angry. And they thought I had, that was kind of funny because I had a guy in the room one time at the hospital, and they did another round of tests, and the doctors left and the tech was putting his stuff away. And I said, hey, can I ask you a question? He's like, yeah. I said, I know you're not the doctor. I know you don't read the scans. I said, but can you tell me what these guys are looking for? Because no one's telling me nothing. He goes, listen, all I do, I said, look, I know what you do. I know that's not your job. I said, and let me also say, I don't know who you are. I don't know your name. I don't want to know your name. I don't want to be able to implicate you for anything. I said, I'm just looking for an answer that they're not giving me. And I guess the guy saw the frustration and the desperation in my face. And he says, all right. He goes, yeah, I'll tell you. He goes, what they're looking at pancreatic cancer. And I said, whoa. I said, that's an eye opener. And of course, that's what ended up taking out John. So I had that conversation with him. I said, John, I've had that told to me before. And fortunately for me, it was wrong, And he says, yeah, I think unfortunately for me, it's not. And he was right. It wasn't. But I found out once I got out, I got back to a computer and I started putting in symptoms. That was like the worst case scenario of all the symptoms I had. And I learned that's how they list their symptoms, from absolute worst down to the most innocuous symptoms. So I guess they figure if they shoot for the worst thing, they'll cure anything that falls in between, right? That's great medicine. Where, just to wrap the story, the end up what it wasn't pancreatic cancer. It was a medication I was taking, an anti-inflammatory for my low back. That plenty of other people take. Everybody, I was taking it for a couple of years, and it just lingered some of it lingered in my system, and it ended up flipping my liver. All I had to do was stop taking it, and then they gave me some other medications to help, straighten me out, and I was done. That was it. But I learned a lot about the medical system.
Yeah,
how to deal, and none of it was good. Right from when they put me in, right from when they were doing their I was gonna say voir dire. I wasn't in court. I was in a triage, and they decided they were gonna put me in, and the nurse says, you have insurance? I'm like, yeah. I said, my card is right back on the table or on my wallet. So she behind me, she takes the card. She goes, oh. I'm like, oh, what? I said, what, did you find something that I lost in there? What did you find? She goes, no, you have the gold card. Yeah. I said, yeah, I do have to have pretty damn good insurance. So yeah, because I had the gold card, guess what? They did every test, ka-ching, ka-ching, 1, 2, 3, sometimes 4 times, because they knew they get paid for it.
Yep.
I said, what if someone had this condition but didn't have the insurance? The poor sap would be, leave him out to dry.
That's what I hated when with my dad, because he had they had really good insurance.
Sure.
So he would go in, and the doctor would be sitting there, and he's like, my dad would be. Of course, my dad again was very precise. He had notes about everything.
Right.
I take X amount on this time, this moment, blah, blah, blah. I peed this much. I drank this much. He had everything documented to the no end.
Precise.
And he'd go through.
Right.
And I would watch the doctor, and he would sit there with his files, and he would go to the last page, and he'd say, oh, you'll be here for 7 days, or you'd be here for 14 days.
Huh.
And I would say, well, why would that? And he goes, oh, well, and then I realized, I looked on the thing, they knew what his insurance would pay.
Right.
And it would, of course, my dad's like, I want to get the hell out of here.
Right.
And they were like, oh, well, you're here until, they would, whatever, like you said, whatever test they knew they get paid, he'd do it 3 or 4 times. And it was very aggravating because, again, it was just milking the system. They would just take.
They got to pay for all the people that don't have insurance.
I guess,
but
that's how they bring their bottom dollar up, is by overcharging the people that have good insurance, because they know their company will pay.
Right.
I don't.
And now with my mom, I see the same thing, because she'll be sitting there telling, and I see him go to that, and I'd say, "Look, buddy, we're not here milking the system or whatever." But
right.
I don't know.
I don't know. That's right.
It's that time to get ready to run those credit cards.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I don't think I have anything to make I don't think I have any good leftovers.
Really?
Yeah, we cleaned out the refrigerator, and it always feels good cleaning the refrigerator out, but then you realize it's like, oh man, I got rid of something. I could have had a good midnight snack.
Right. You know, we just did the same thing too. We did a good refrigerator cleaning after Christmas and New Year's. We got to do that too. So yeah.
Cleaned out, and
My daughter did what she called a deep dive on the refrigerator. And if you
Uh-huh.
listen to some of these cop shows, a deep dive means they go into your computer and find everything out about you they can.
Right.
Well, that's what she's doing in the fridge. And boy, I tell you, I was amazed how much shit she
Yeah.
threw out.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, you know, the stuff that ends up in the back is always, you know.
Yes, exactly.
well, that's like how many half open salad dressing. You know, we have like 3 Caesars and 2 ranches, you know, and a couple. And I'm like, first you gotta make sure it's not bad, but then you're combining it all, and it's like you find an extra 2 feet of room in the refrigerator.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
All right. So Isaac said his modem crapped. Thinks the modem took crap. He's listening on the phone, but I think it's gonna be time for us to get the heck out of here ourselves.
Yeah.
So what do we say, Justin? What do we say to people that are waiting for me to take out my garbage?
Well, you can tell them that they can follow you on Instagram and Facebook, but don't follow you home.
Exactly.
Are you inside still?
Yeah.
You're not in the garage?
No, not in the garage.
Oh.
He's in the warmth.
Warm. Is it still what's the temperature there? Since we were talking about how
40s.
Oh.
So I just saw something. I was just watching one of these things came into my YouTube channel feed. It's like short videos about disasters through history. And the one that I've always followed and been enthralled with, and I love the song, is the oh Jesus. I just blanked out. Gordon Lightfoot. Did the song about it. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And then in that video, they happened to show like the Great Lakes, and there was Saginaw, Michigan. I'm like, wow, you're right on the bottom of the H from Holmes in Homeyville from Lake Huron. I didn't know anybody I never knew anybody who lived anywhere remotely near Lake Huron. So
yeah, we're not too far.
It's right below. Yeah, it's right there. Like they showed right on the map. Like, holy shit, look at that. Okay, cool.
He gets all the good weather.
Yeah.
All of it.
All of it. And
Right.
you can keep it, Justin.
Yep.
Right.
I'll do what I can.
Okay, guys.
All right,
All right,
Papa Bro,
so,
take care.
You know, for Lewis Lee, our leader in charge, in fact, Dan Short, the special guest tonight. It was great to have Dan on again. Greg Guarino, Matt Coman, Brian, Papa Squirrel, Justin, and from
Coach
our
Isaac.
Hot Rod Shop, and Coach Isaac, who's now out with a crappy modem. And tune into Motor Mouth Radio Sunday when we'll have Mark Warman. It'll be Mopar Mouth Radio once again. And that's it. So let's go up and raid the fridges, guys, and we'll talk soon.
You got it.